If you've ever tried learning Spanish, French, or German, or Arabic, you've probably had a minor anxiety attack over vocabulary flashcards. You're sitting there thinking, why on earth is a table feminine in French but masculine in German? It's a freaking piece of wood. It doesn't have chromosomes. The English speaker assigning a biological sex to inanimate objects feels like a bizarre prank intended solely to make you fail your high school language exams. But roughly 40% of the world's languages do this. Why? Are Germans actually looking at a bridge and thinking, oh, what's a bridge? That's manly. Why that's the term exactly with. So today we're talking about the strange world of grammatical gender and why it's actually a brilliant feature of human language. If you're new to the channel, I'm Dr. Taylor Jones. I've got a PhD in linguistics from the University of Pennsylvania, and here on the channel I discuss everything related to language, linguistics, language learning, and culture. If you're into those topics, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. This is Language Jones. Quick shout out to today's sponsor, Mint Mobile, because let's get one massive misconception out of the way. Grammatical gender is not about sex. Let's not. The confusion comes pretty much entirely from the terminology. Early European grammarians looked at languages like Latin, saw that the word for woman fell into one category and man fell into another, and said, cool, let's call these categories masculine and feminine. The important part here is that there were two broad classes of nouns. Broad classes is probably one word. What linguists creatively call noun classes now, and in European languages, man and woman fell into different categories. So they're a shorthand for the one you're talking about, using the most salient nouns in the category. The word gender actually comes from the Latin root genus, which just means kind or class by French genre. It's literally just a system for sorting nouns into different buckets, different genres. Some languages have two buckets, masculine and feminine. German has three, adding neuter, and it can't possibly be about sex since girls are neuter, as Mark Twain famously observed, leaving an angry comment stating that that's just because the word for girl has a diminutive suffix, a suffix that makes a noun into a little noun. If you want to nitpick, Dutch used to have three, masculine, feminine, and neuter, but now it's combined masculine and feminine. It has common and neuter genders instead. But some languages take it to an entirely next level. Zulu, for example, has up to 18 different noun classes depending on who you ask. 14, 17, some people argue. They don't sort by male or female. They sort by categories like humans, plants, tools, and abstract concepts. So taking Ubuntu meaning person, you can get Ubuntu, a person, Ubuntu, people, Ubuntu languages. By the way, did I mention that half of the genders are just plurals of the other half? And Ubuntu meaning humanity points the operating system. Weird name for a robot if you ask me, but who knows why that is. So when a language calls a table feminine, it's not saying that the table prefers pink.
On Wednesdays we were pink.
It's just saying this word belongs to noun class B, or A for the feminist, or B for the feminist who say the best for last. So how do these specific buckets get started? I mean, masculine and feminine, not just noun classes. One way to think about it involves traveling back thousands of years to Proto-Indo-European, the ancestral language behind English, Spanish, Hindi, and Russian, among tons of others. Linguists believe that originally this ancient language didn't care about male or female. Instead, it divided the world into two different categories: animate things that are alive, move, and do stuff like humans and animals, and inanimate things that are static like rocks, water, and tools. There's an entire hierarchy that linguists have identified that languages are grammatically sensitive to, with gods and humans at the top, and rocks and dirt at the bottom, and pets, domesticated animals, wild animals, forces of nature, and so on all in the middle. But yeah, you had animate and inanimate. Just like how Spanish, its descendant uses a special little word for when you see a person, but not when you see a book. Over millennia, as the language evolved, the animate category split into what we now call masculine and feminine. But why did random objects end up in those groups? Sometimes it was about abstract associations. For example, a roaring, destructive river might be classified as active and lumped in with the masculine group, the yang, while a calm, life-giving river might be classified as feminine, the yin. But most of the time, it was pure poetry and acoustics, or more technically, phonology. Words often got thrown into a bucket simply because of how they sounded. If a new word ended in a certain vowel sound, it naturally gravitated toward the bucket where all the other words ended in that same sound. Over generations, the original reasons faded, leaving us with the grammatical rules we have today. So the overwhelming majority of Italian masculine nouns end in o and feminine nouns end in a, even though there are obvious exceptions like la mano. Okay, so it's a historical accident, but why keep it? If it's so annoying to learn, why hasn't evolution weeded it out? Because grammatical gender is actually a linguistic superpower. Evolution hasn't weeded it out because it's not only not inefficient, it actually outcompetes not doing it. It reduces ambiguity and prevents communication breakdowns. Imagine I'm telling a story in English. The boy took the key off the book and dropped it. When he dropped the key or the book in English, it could mean either. You have to guess from context. There's actually a lot more to it based on word order and pragmatics and precise stress, but that's not obviously encoded. But in a language with grammatical gender like Italian, the book is masculine and the key is feminine. If you say that sentence in Italian, the pronoun you use specifically matches the exact noun that you're actually talking about. The grammar itself clears up the confusion instantly. It allows speakers to string together complex ideas without losing track of who or what is doing what. Beyond that, you have gender pairs for the same word in some languages. So in French, il a fait un tour and il a fait une tour mean different things. The first one is he went around, and the second one is he built a tower. That's the difference between le Tour Eiffel and le Tour de France, which goes by le Tour Eiffel sometimes. From an information theory perspective, gender allows us to keep the number of sounds and the number of syllables down, to more clearly identify which adjectives and adverbs and other descriptive words go with which nouns, and to keep better track of what pronouns resolve to. So the next time you're pulling your hair out trying to remember if a refrigerator is a he or she, take a deep breath and count to 4.
Take a deep breath and count to 4.
Your target language isn't trying to torture you, it's just carrying a beautiful ancient echo of how our ancestors classified the universe and giving you a more precise way to talk about it. If you want more of these moments, you can sign up for the waitlist and updates for my upcoming self-paced digital linguistics, the language blueprint at www.languagejones.com/blueprint. If you like what I'm doing with the channel, you can always support it with super thanks or over on Patreon at patreon.com/languagejones. Which language gender rules have broken your brain the most? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe for more linguistic deep dives, and I will see you in the next one. Until next time, happy learning.
With a little more, it would be even worse.
Games novos e nostálgicos. Beleza, eu sou o Velmer e o sonho acabou. Gente, anunciaram preços do Steam Machine. E tá meio dentro do que algumas pessoas estavam esperando, mas pra mim passou um pouco do que eu achei que teria, sabe? A Valve já tinha, há pouco menos de um mês, aumentado o valor do Steam Deck. O PC de mão, né? O PC portátil deles, que já tinha 4 anos no mercado. Eles aumentaram de 200 a 300 dólares, né? Dependendo do modelo lá. O Steam Deck de 1 TB tela OLED de 649 foi pra 949, dá um aumento aí de 300 dólares. Muita gente se assustou com esse aumento, né? Por causa que, normalmente, quando vai passando o tempo de lançamento do console, a tendência é o preço baixar, não aumentar. A gente tá vendo o preço aumentando. Aumentou o preço do PlayStation, aumentou o preço do Xbox, aumentou o preço do Switch e o Steam Deck aumentou também. Porque dizem que é por causa da rouba de componentes de informática, principalmente memória, que a indústria da inteligência artificial está sugando tudo, tá pegando todos os lotes, tá pegando toda a demanda das fábricas que produzem esses materiais, está sobrando pouco para a galerinha que joga videogame, placas de vídeo, peças de PC e peças para videogame também. E essa crise vem numa época bem ruim, porque a indústria já está se preparando para avançar para a próxima geração de videogames, que de certa forma iria começar pelo Steam Machine, que não é um videogame, é um console, é um PC em formato de console. Porém, tudo indica que a gente vai ter outras marcas entrando com modelos parecidos, né? PC travestidos de console. O Xbox é um desses. Provavelmente o tal do Helix aí vai ser um PC em formato de console. Então daria para, a partir de agora, começar a considerar esses PCs em formato de console um console e dizer que a gente está começando a 10ª geração de videogames agora com o lançamento do Steam Machine? Não sei. Também não sei quem que vai comprar o videogame aí, ou o PC com esse preço. E quanto que vai custar? Vamos lá, a bola da tabelinha de preço tem que ver em outro site aqui, porque como eles não vendem oficialmente no Brasil, eu não consigo ver os preços diretamente na loja também, tá? Eles não mostram mais aqui. O Steam Machine sozinho com 515 GB de armazenamento, SSD 1049. Esse aqui é o valor mais baixo que vai custar o Steam Machine. Se você quiser um controle, vai subir pouco menos de 100 dólares, vai custar uns 80 dólares, exatamente, vai para 1128, foi economizou. Aí o modelo de 2 teras, 1349, também sobe um tantinho aí se você quiser um controle junto, né? Controle faz 5 que saiu faz pouco tempo. Tem conversão de reais, vai dar uns 1.300 reais, mais ou menos, né? É só conversão do videogame, mas considerando imposto, leite, criança, importa e tudo mais, você não vai comprar um Steam Machine por menos de 10 mil reais, pelo menos no lançamento, tá? Talvez depois aí de alguns meses, quando estabilizar a importação, começar a abrir mais CS aqui no Brasil, né? Assim, jeito lá, eu chuto que o modelo mais básico vai custar aí 6, 7 mil reais, tá? Mais ou menos esse valor. Agora, veja bem, quando o PlayStation 5 lançou, o Xbox Series X também, né? O preço que você conseguia aí também no lançamento era de 5, 6 mil reais, mas depois se estabilizou, foi lá 3 mil, às vezes você consegue até por bem menos, né, 2000 e pouco, você consegue um PlayStation 5 sem todo digital, sem leitor de discos. E esse daí que eu tô falando de 6, 7 mil reais, seria o melhor cenário possível pra você comprar um Steam Machine aqui no Brasil. Agora você pensa, mesmo com a alta dos componentes, se você consegue comprar com 6, 7 mil reais, e aí, será que compensa mesmo você comprar um Steam Machine? A vantagem da máquina da Valve é que ele é muito compacto, bem pequenininho. Então, pra você colocar na sala, se quiser jogar na sala, por exemplo, vai realmente ocupar pouco espaço, né? Enquanto se você colocar um PC com gabinete normal, vai ocupar muito espaço, pelo menos. Também quando ele tem uma arquitetura própria, os jogos podem ser certificados e bem configurados pra rodar na melhor performance possível usando ele. Mesma coisa que a gente vê no Steam Deck, né? Enquanto você faz a mesma coisa no PC que você mesmo monta, você vai ter que achar as configurações mais complicado pra você configurar seus jogos e começar a jogar. Tirando isso, aqui no viu, porque eu tenho mais sobre o lançamento, tá? Vou até linkar o vídeo aqui, aqui, vou colocar pra vocês verem mais sobre a máquina e do que a gente tá falando aqui, né? Esse gente, basicamente ele é um PC, ele tem o mesmo uso de um PC, só que ele tem um Linux instalado, você pode desinstalar, você colocar o Linux se quiser, você coloca o Linux mesmo lá, boa também. Ele funciona como um PC aqui, ele é montado pra se parecer com um videogame, o sistema operacional dele é otimizado pra videogame. Só isso, é a mesma coisa do Steam Deck, né? O Steam Deck é portátil também do ROG Xbox Live, que é o videogame que a ROG fez com o Xbox, tem a marca do Xbox, o sistema operacional do Xbox também é o Windows utilizado no sistema operacional do Xbox, e é isso aí. Então é uma nova geração de equipamentos que estão chegando com essa filosofia, um PC fantasiado com console. Mas essa história, tem essa esquerda, dessa geração de console chegar, vai ter um pouquinho mais justamente por causa dessas questões, por exemplo, a Sony tinha conversas antes, né? Eles iam anunciar o próximo console final agora em 2026 e lançar ele até metade de 2027. Agora tá lançando para 2028, sim, mas vai ser também com o Xbox, não, o projeto é próximo aparelho deles aí, né? Provavelmente vai ser um PC, uma console mesmo, mesma coisa desse machine, também já tem conversa própria, a diretoria falando que eles vão pegar um jeito no lançamento desse aparelho, desse computador, sei lá, justamente por causa do preço dos componentes que irem agora aqui nas alturas. Verdade que esses outros videogames, né, da Sony, do Xbox, eles ainda têm um subsídio que as marcas dão pra comprar o videogame, ou seja, eles gastam lá, vamos supor, $500 pra fabricar o videogame. Eles vendem $450 mais barato pra ficar nessa situação que, por exemplo, eles vão comprar jogos, né, na loja deles, e aí sim, a dona do videogame vai ganhar lucro. Às vezes eles nem reduzem, né, nem tem prejuízo na venda do videogame, mas tira lucro, né, fabrica por 500, não tem lucro no aparelho, mas vai ganhar lucro depois na venda dos jogos. É bom que esses computadores em formato de videogame, a plataforma é livre, por exemplo, se eu compro um Steam Machine, não gosto da Steam, né, não gosto da loja deles lá, e desinstalo e coloco a Epic Games e o Xbox, e jogos lá, vocês dão subsídio pra mim, eles vão comprar prejuízo na loja deles. Então eles projetam o lucro só na máquina que eles vendem, e por isso eles não têm visível e tudo mais caro que os outros consoles. Dito isso, esse valor de $1.049, o preço mais alto do Steam Machine, é o que a gente pode esperar para os consoles da próxima geração. Mas isso se a gente não tiver uma mudança drástica, os consumidores de videogame que tem mudado bastante nos últimos tempos. Por exemplo, cada vez mais aumenta o preço dos jogos, dos videogames, a galera compra do mesmo jeito. E aqui no Steam Machine mesmo, eu achei tanto preocupante que eu tava dando uma investigada na história do site, eu achei aqui na IGN falando sobre, provavelmente se não fosse essa questão das o Steam Machine estaria por $150, né? Essa matéria aqui. Mas eles também colocaram uma enquete aqui na IGN, né? Colocaram uma enquete, as pessoas estão nesse bom, esse preço aí, né? De $1.000, as pessoas estão desistindo de comprar um não, que tá aqui, 45%, quase 46% das pessoas falaram que ainda tem interesse em comprar o Steam Machine, mesmo esse preço doido que apareceu aí. E não foi poucas pessoas não, tá? Foram mais de 18 mil pessoas, ou seja, quase 9 mil pessoas aí, né? 18 mil lá, que tá bom, $1.000, mas eu vou comprar do mesmo jeito. Não me entenda mal, eu sei que tá tendo uma crise aí, não é que eu quero que tenha prejuízo e coisas do tipo, tá? Mas eu fico tanto preocupado, as coisas podem subindo, e os jogadores comprando, consumindo do mesmo jeito. Onde isso vai parar? O que eu posso dizer é que esse Steam Machine é perigo pra caramba, porque da outra vez que a Steam tentou vender ele também não foi pra frente, o plano de negócio desse Steam Machine era meio esquisito e acabou não sendo interessante, os consumidores não foram pra lugar nenhum, aquilo deu bom pro Steam Deck, mas o Steam Machine, fazer o Steam Machine agora vai lançar o negócio meio crise do apocalipse, né, que eu tô chamando aí, esse preço doidão aí. Mas enfim, deixa eu comentar falando, o que você achou desse preço? Tá justo pro Steam Machine? Acha que esse console PC vai pra frente, vai ganhar mil? Você tem que achar esse preço que pegaram pra você?
No.
Well, that's slow. Today's slow, absolutely insane. Lives roll. Continuing to have commented anyone is exactly surprised. It turns out, well, there's viral gamma bits like the ones people being on saying words, which if you've seen something like that, don't really know that they would be funded and paid by none other than Polymarket themselves. So usually, we've been seeing the name of videos to avoid giving them emotion. But I guess it's okay to leave on scenes of this. Wall Street Journal conducted an investigation during 1,100 videos over 6 months time period. Creators posting about Polymarket, finding that of the total $1.9 million wasted in bits in these videos, nothing real, showing examples like this one video used updated footage to show that one.
Guy looks like he's spending $100 saying that Trump is going to say word equal. Then they show the video of Trump saying, that video is actually from March of last year. Anyone who made this kind of real life lost money.
Also noting that across 118 videos rated, supposedly celebrated nearly $9,000 in false claims. So if debates actually made as they were in videos, they would actually get a total loss of 166,000 influencers also using it to fake your to place Ellen Polymarket with lowercase i to make these hits. Influencers do straight saying they were given password access to the site. Creators were supposed to pay 2 to 3 grand money told not to disclose the agreement. The general reached out to Polymarket president and Polymarket got into the bio. Saying reported that Aiden Ross had a multi-million dollar deal with Polymarket. Polymarket clips to promote at least 19 videos discussing how to trade inside information. When reached out to Polymarket spokesperson, they were committed to maintaining accurate and transparent markets, saying it was conducting comprehensive audit of customers who content to ensure compliance. Well said, honestly sounds like they're not really committed to anything other than the role. And the technical things I said, this was someone who was looking out for Twitter Polymarket on Google. People telling them that I am directly tied to the Messel controversy, saying the prominent internet commentator and creator is one of the high-profile influencers implicated in shadow marketing campaign where creators paid to provide bits of fictional links, saying creators like
Anyway.
$1,000 post videos showcasing message out some frivolous bits. So yeah, I guess thanks Google. Really appreciate this one. And I truly is the future when it's just straight up telling people that I'm involved in fraud. Come on guys, but really control and participate in shadow marketing campaign. I need a little bit more details. Yeah, message generously all around. Thanks. This is Slobot.
After 1,000 years, it felt like this day would never come. We have waited in the dark, in the mud, for a whisper of things to come. After 1,000 years, it felt like this day would never come. We have waited in the dark, in the mud, for a whisper of things to come. Two titans of the indie game sphere, one hacky halfway YouTuber finally returning to bring you their spoils. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the deliverance of good video games. Alright, so y'all know I love Dark Club, I had a godly amount of time in Isaac. Both these teams have delivered their long-awaited projects, and I just want to take a quick second to talk about them. Was it worth the wait? How do they compare to the giants that walked before them? Where's the show like? All these questions and more will be touched on without any qualified information. Also, I ain't gonna spoilers for video games. These are indies, brother. If you might even have an interest in them, just go buy the game. With that said, let's talk about Edmund McMillan. Edmund is one of the last bastions of 4 age. You like Smiling Friends, right? These are animators that cut their teeth on Newgrounds back in the early 2000s. The landscape of the anime was completely different. We spent most of our time trying to be as edgy and offensive as possible, and man, some of y'all knocked that out of the park. It's in that world that Edmund started making games. After a handful of colorful titles, he co-developed Meat Boy, then he made Super Meat Boy. Then he made enough money to never have to worry about money again. A project that massive takes a terrible toll. It's only natural to look for a release. A throwaway project, something just for kids. Make it religious, make it sad, conjure horrible imagery concerning babies. That game. So quintuple the amount Meat Boy did. It doesn't look like it's gonna stop anytime soon. Over a decade and 1,000 combined hours, I still go to this game just about every day. These are some mighty shoes to fill. So Edmund did what he does best. He grabbed one of his buddies, and then he did whatever the hell he felt like. We're talking about 14 years of on-again, off-again development for it to finally hit the sword, and he made that budget back in 3 hours. But sales are just sales. How did it actually turn out? One of the interesting things that both of these games share is that Henry. Both titles are spiritual successors to classic Simony genres. He uses Link's Awakening the same way that Eugenics uses Final Fantasy Tactics. Where Isaac Ward is in the first to sell, the Eugenics takes a bold step into the world of tactical RPGs. But less interesting though is that I dislike Final Fantasy Tactics. I despise Link's Awakening. So no bias from here, but I generally find TRPGs really slow, usually mixing tremendous amounts of dialogue with gameplay being a less than stellar payoff. I've tried Fire Emblem, I've tried Tactics, it's just not different. Eugenics fixes this by twisting gameplay into a roguelike, letting little bits of world building characters grow over time. That doesn't mean that the world building is bare bones. The writing in this game is phenomenal. The tutorial is handed to you as simply as possible. To the point where you have to go out of your way to mess it up. But if you do, the little guy keeps getting so angry, they straight up just stops helping you. While this little bit of dialogue is funny, it gets across the broad idea that this is going to be a friendly game. You will not be followed, you aren't owed victory. You get your head around this gameplay, they're more than happy to let you fall off. Although that praise does come with a heavy grain of salt. The entire vibe of an Edmund game relies on you liking his style of comedy. A lot of people see this as being edgy, maybe even cringy, so let's do a little test here and talk about the opening. You know, in Pokemon, you get to pick between 3 little dudes, and your rival gets one, and then there's one Pokemon that doesn't get to go on an adventure. In this game, you start with 2 of 3 paths. Only be told, you'll be made the worst decision, and then the doctor will stage you unpick that. It reads just like an edgy joke we would have made on Game Facts back in 2004. A chunky 12-year-old that thinks being provocative is a decent substitute for having a personality. I absolutely adore that. Maybe just speaks to the edgy little turd in me, but brings back a style that we genuinely don't see anymore. The sassy town gossip, the angry shopkeeper, the dead guy that lives under your house. It's a story that you can immediately tell if you're going to like. But even if you just like all of this, the gameplay alone has enough to keep you wrapped up for hours. The loop is deceptively simple. You have cats, you bring cats, you send cats out of battle, they bring back food and items. Its claim to fame is in the name, taking the min-max and doing Pokemon or Final Fantasy, and referring to it as a form of eugenics is so beautifully succinct. Every cat gets a role, each role has a different attack, you level up in between, and random events help you know where they hurt you. Each section is capped off with huge monster bosses, all touting creative mechanics that force you to use your brain. All that's pretty typical TRPG stuff. They deviate from this by only allowing you one run per cat. When you get back, never retire. It's like weapon durability. The finite nature of each cat helps you stop from running your favorites over and over and forces you to experiment with new strategies. This is the added bonus of recycling your entire cats in 2 ways. You can keep them around to read and inherit abilities, or you just dump them to different characters to offer long-term upgrades. This is one of the benefits of a small team and ungodly long development time. Each aspect of this game relies on each other, seamlessly blending and leading the pitch and keep playing. Every time you boot the game, the introduction is slightly different. Every cat is named after an actual animal submitted by a fan. One of the dedicated mini buttons is revolving cast of internet celebrities now. It's the kind of game that can only be made with a solid vision and a genuine passion to make it. There are very few teams that create something with that amount of earnest love. As much as I love Evan and Tyler's work, we're about to talk about a game that gives them a run for the money. I'm not going to get into the weeds about Shovel Knight. I'm already going into the entire game with painstaking detail with other videos, so check them out if you haven't. I'll probably be done with that series one day. What I do want to open with is the mystery that surrounds Yacht Club's latest release. This is Mina the Hollow. This is Game Grumps playing Mina the Hollow 4 years ago. So much of that demo is in the final game, but the vibe is completely different, almost uncanny. Even last year they launched the demo for Halloween release, only to delay it by more than half a year. That Miyamoto could fall back on the subtle tweaking and finalizing screens that Yacht Club wanted this game to land 10 toes down. I'll be damned if they didn't. From the beginning, you can see the subtle detail, the chunky pixels flash by as they dominate the aspect ratio to their advantage. It's a callback to Game Boy Color that slowly creeps out of the corners to bring you a striking first impression. Earlier in the video, I said I didn't like Link's Awakening, so let me walk that idea out. I get this is a Game Boy game, it's not like that oodles of wiggle room to work, but the split between puzzles and combat always bring out its tedious over fun. But a burst of surprise, Mina the Hollow follows that same mantra, but with brilliant success. For anybody thinking about playing the same off Shovel Knight, just know that they're entirely different. The hallmarks are there, but the music and sprite art hitting the same notes. It would be hard to strike further as far as gameplay goes. Put Castlevania and Link's Awakening into a blender, and you're halfway there. You pick between 3 main weapons in the tutorial, and generally off the whip, each one is distinct and dramatically changes the gameplay. You got a classic jump when you hold the button, you burrow underground, coming out of this crazy momentum, also giving you defensive options. I was getting my ass handed to me by this guy until I learned that you use the ground to reposition at moments notice and turn the tide in your favor. That's not even touching the secondaries. Some of the able to hit the scene, you got your arcing axe or boomerang knife, but you also have these mobility options that can break a puzzle in half. We got trinkets, and I ain't talking about little extra HP or more bones on kill. I'm talking about spawning NPCs on death or getting an entire extra life. The controls are excruciatingly tight. The tutorial boss can actually be defeated with another breeze. I think it's a trinket that turns into a glass cannon. This game takes every lesson from its ancestors only to push the envelope. You really feel how far out the world is. I'll try to keep spoilers to a minimum. Trust me when I say there's some crazy shakeups, but just for an example, let's talk about this one. You traverse in a complete circle only to end up here. Once you hop into it, the water level changes as well as the layout. It's that cyclical design that makes Dark Souls so mad, forcing familiarity and offering plenty of shortcuts to get back into the action. I'm not talking about Dark Souls. So far, I've given this game glowing remarks. All of them are deserved, but it's in no way a perfect title. This is an open world with various locations you need to get to. Only tiny little hints on how to get there. There's actually a map hidden deep in the campaign. At that point, the damage is done. That's how I get the idea. You're supposed to dive deep into the game and discover the secrets and make all these connections along the way. That's how thousands of people doing out an external map. It makes me think that the actual design doesn't quite offer enough to make piecemeal information useful. Also, this game is hard. Like freak out and have to go outside hard. While the controls are tight, you are on a razor's edge toward one mistake and massively setting back. Having a more patient approach helps you understand your options and eventually breaks through a roadblock, but it's not the kind of difficulty that pays out with relief. I think Yacht Club might have overtested the game so many years in the other big gameplay second nature to them and it hurts hard first time experience. It's that daunting difficulty that I find myself willing to quit just a few minutes in. And it's also the strongest reason why I can't say I like this more than Shovel Knight. That's in no way a disqualification. I reckon they didn't try or want to have the same character the previous one. Overall, it radiates a kind of confidence in their design. You just don't see it more. They lay out pieces, they tell you to figure it out, or you can go do something else. That haunting attitude just makes me want to finish this game called more. I'm not gonna lie to you, both of these games are mixed bag. Neither of them capture my adoration like Shovel Knight or tickle primordial parts of my brain like Isaac, but that might be for the best. The gaming landscape is facing a crisis of mediocrity. New games drop out of the window are flooded with remakes and remasters. We're fed this gray mush of mid and hopelessly hope they might catch a little inspiration. It's indie games like this that still stoke flames of imagination. One of the last bastions of uniquely human expression. They claim a game worth your time. And who knows, maybe I'll talk about these games in a dedicated video, but one thing I know for sure is that nothing I can say will ever compare to you playing with me. I want to give an enormous shout out to everyone who has ever helped me on Patreon. This goes out to Dimas, Shrimpy, Seth Peacock, Evelyn, Post Mesmeric, Kalina 911, Turbo Drowsy, T Goldie, Holistic Autistic, Josh Holtz, Tyler Hildebrand, and Happy. Don't freak out if you think you canceled your Patreon and your name's being listed here. I wanted to really give a shout out to anyone who has up to the past, especially this amount of time in between. I could write a movie with all the stuff that's happened in the past few years, but I always hated it when YouTubers complain about their life or their job, whatever, in their videos, and so I don't want to get into all the drama. Just know that I'm here and that I'm stoked to be back at it. I can never guarantee what the future's going to look like, what kind of content I can make, or different things that I have to work on, but I'm here. I'm back. It feels good. I hope you did well. I hope that everything in your life is going just the way that you wanted, and most importantly, thank you so much for watching.
Willpower is actually all in your head. I hate to break it to you, but willpower is actually all in your head. The people who seem like they have unlimited amounts of willpower, they've just made their behaviors automatic, so it seems like they have more willpower than most people. James Clear calls this behavior design, which are these 4 laws that are stupidly simple. There's making it obvious, making it attractive, making it easy, and making it satisfying. And what it actually looks like is something like if you want to drink more water, you put your bottle of water on your desk. That's it. That's the obvious. And then if you want to work out, you stack it onto something that you already enjoy, like your favorite playlist or podcast or something like that. That's the attractive part. Then if you have issues with the gym and it takes 45 minutes to get there, you need to find a way to reduce friction. So you need to find a gym closer, maybe one that's 10 minutes away, because easy reduces friction, and friction kills habits. So last one is satisfying. I feel like people overlook this one a lot because it's easy to think a future reward will help you now, but your brain really needs rewards immediately. So right after the behavior, not like in a week from now I'm gonna give myself a cheat meal. I'm not talking like that. I'm saying like at least check a box, get a little bit of dopamine, do something like that, engineer things for the win. Of course, I'm gonna share the research piece of this because I love this part. But there were 2 researchers, Golitzer and Sharan. They had found that if then planning, so like if this, then that dramatically outperforms general intention settings. So you don't want to say something like, oh man, I'll work out more. You actually want to say, I will change my shoes and go outside when I get home from work. This is a specific situation with a specific response, and using that type of structure will bridge that gap that people commonly struggle with, which is the intention versus what you actually do. There's also this myth that habits take 21 days to form. Nope, it takes 66 days. So that's roughly 2 months of repetition that you need to take part in before a behavior becomes automatic. If a habit just keeps falling apart every time you're trying to do it, you need to question yourself. You need to ask, which of these 4 simple laws am I violating? Is it too hard to start? Make it easier. Is there no reward? You need to build one in. Is there no cue? Well, then you need to create a cue, because doing this creates a system that is automatic, and that's something willpower can't do. So give it a try.
Ouch. Crushed. I kinda wanted to restart if I sing playback stuff. There it is. Right. Let me get to name. Oh well, I don't know. I gotta try it. Logging, log out, etc. It doesn't solve the problem still. Yeah, VPN. Time for the VPN. Sadly. What? But my start button not working. That's weird. Hold up. No guarantee it's gonna work.
The Steam Machine just crash landed on the market at nearly double the price of a more performant console. Truly, it was a dark day for PC gamers. But that was yesterday, and today's a new day, so rather than carrying a rational grudge towards an object, we're gonna move on it. Okay, PC parts, not as affordable as you'd like right now. Let's we start with the price of
Yeah, the VPN.
Latest box, just 1,000 GPU hours, we're going to build a PC that dumps the performance of the GPU without hopefully giving up too many feature comforts that make it so unique. Although we will be giving up some. For example, at first glance, our CPU, the Ryzen 5 7500F, looks nearly identical to Valve's 6 Zen 4 cores, 12 threads, and even some reduced clocks. But the devil's in the details, and to keep power consumption and noise extremely low, Valve chose a more expensive mobile CPU, meaning that our CPU alone draws nearly as much power as the entire steam machine in a workload. With that said, though, we're still talking 65 watts, which I don't think is a major concern for most desktop users. And the same goes, hopefully, for size. To find a motherboard, fire anyway, filtered by DA50 chipset and Wi-Fi, and then sorted by price. PC hardware industry is kind of struggling with sales volumes right now, so if you shop around, you can actually find some pretty desperate looking pricing motherboards, like this NTX Astroport with Wi-Fi for $130, or if you're willing to go even bigger, full-size ATX, we tracked down this board with Wi-Fi 7 for just $130, including shipping on eBay Canada. What a freaking deal. We're gonna go with that one, since most folks trying to build something more console-like are probably gonna go a bit smaller than that. So we got an NTX board for our build here. The exact model's not too important. It doesn't impact performance these days, so don't overthink it. Just pick on a board that has the I/O and the features that work best with your budget. No matter what you choose, though, it is worth going because it will be larger than the machine, but it should offer greater compatibility with a socket for future CPUs, a PCI Express Gen 5 slot for future GPUs, not to mention extra slots for storage drives and for other cards. This expandability gives us the ability to match Valve's many antenna approach for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and for control in the future, but we opted not to set up our dedicated cards. We're just going to stick with our onboard Wi-Fi. Now for the most painful part, RAM. Once again, we filtered and sorted by price, choosing a dual channel 16 gig of DDR5 running at 6,000 megahertz per second CL36. This may be a controversial choice, but hear me out. While DDR4 can be had for less than half the price of DDR5, RAM is just 1/3 of the platform Triforce, and we found that while DDR4 motherboards can be the AM4 CPUs that go in them are in such high demand, brand new pricing point is just not that attractive, especially when you consider their last generation performance. Now, here's tracker warnings, we're pricing in hand, like we have our previous console machines. DDR4 would likely have been a better choice. But we've seen feedback that many of you would prefer to use on hardware. In this case, we felt that due to the price of this machine, that was doable. Just like it's doable. Line day is back, and it starts. With storage prices being as high as they are right now, I think a lot of folks are going to be looking at the 512 gig machine today, and then plan to upgrade that in the future once things cool down. That seems wise. So we went looking for the cheapest half terabyte we could find with a warranty from a reputable company, which this week happens to be an 80 Legend for $85. Would I rather have something with you in cash and or a modern PCIe Gen 4 interface? Yes, I would. Either of those things would keep our drive longer, more productive life. But for gaming, this is hopefully going to allow us to wait. Continuing today's theme, to find a case, we sorted NTX 65 cents. We're pleasantly surprised. Xeon used to be a mainstay in the enthusiast air and water cooling space, but in recent years, Xeon themselves offer exceptional value on cases, and the QXG here is no exception. $30 for USB-C, 3 included fans, and 2 tempered glass panels. Desperation prices price again, and the good news is Xeon regains their sanity by the time you're shopping. There's also the good old-fashioned Cooler Master Q300L, just $10 more. It is the worst case than the Xeon one, but it can be right down for like $40, so happy case shopping. For our part, we're just going to be finding our parts on test bench since the case doesn't impact performance at all. Our cooler is a bit of a tricky one. See, that Astroport we highlighted before actually came with a free Cooler Master cartridge as well, but then by the time you actually fill this, that offer had expired, so the budget for it is kind of showing your $20 until you go shopping for yourself. You're both spending it and not spending it. Either way, if you don't have cartridge for free, there are a lot of other options in this $20 price range for brands like Metro, Sama, and Totalme. I know they can make shopping a little bit more complicated, but that free cooler is not the only place that we save money by shopping deals. On top of the low cost of cartridge shows, we save an extra $50 by targeting condos. Now, there are trade-offs to this approach. Sometimes it can be a better value to pile your parts from different retailers one by one, but other times, it's better to just bundle up and send it if you don't get quite exactly what you wanted. Speaking of what you wanted, sadly we didn't find any great deals on power supply, so we budgeted about $65 to get something that's not completely bunk, and that will accommodate some of the upgrades that our custom PC allows here. If you're looking for power supply, just find the price and then cross-reference the lab's website or one of these super handy PSU tier lists. We found this MSI A650BN by AMC, which is not great, but it's technically a pass. What's more than pass though? This GPU. The Sapphire Pulse Radeon 9660 16 gig edition features double the RAM of this machine. It has a whole generation of architecture with vastly improved ray tracing and about $430, which is a lot of money. I would actually love to be able to recommend Intel RP 580 for $290, but while Valve is working on seamless operations Intel cards, for now, CMOS works best with AMD. If you're ready to venture outside CMOS, Azite and CatchOS are popular distros that can offer a better experience than wiring hardware, but we're trying to steam machine, not a DIY machine. With that last component installed, overall, we're looking really good right now. We've got a faster CPU with bigger caches, twice as much VRAM on our GPU. We've got more expansion. I mean, as the great philosopher and poet DJ Khaled said, all I do is win-win-win no matter what. But okay, sometimes I do take big titles, and there are a couple we've got to talk about here. Without Valve's specialized hardware, we are not getting support for HDMI CEC. That means no automatic synchronization between my console here and my TV, audio system, etc. Also, while I do benefit from Valve's quick resume feature, and I can make this up on a USB peripheral, what I can't do is power on my Steam controller at the time. Oh right, and of course, for better or for worse, we had to spec it, build it, and now we have to configure it, get it installed, and if it doesn't boot, you're on the hook for figuring out why. It will, right? Yeah. Everything's shown up. All we do is activate Expo, save, and we should fire up right into CMOS. Now it's time for a side-by-side comparison. David will be on the Steam machine, and I will be on the Vapor contraption. Here we go. Wait, you're the controller, and thankfully, Valve gives us a budget. Right, yes, not cheap. It's not standalone, $7 to get a console. So for $65, I'm going to get a Pro. Controller that I really enjoy. $80 $65 on the street. This thing runs. Yeah, this is the like Goku one. You can take it one. It doesn't have fans. I'm sorry, I don't use something like that. What do you want to say? What's it? Back to it. Right on the 8 remake, it is not close. You're within the 8 gigs of RAM on the Steam machine, but that GPU is just plain. That GPU is just plain not as powerful. This is a very low optimized section too. I've seen drops to like 30, sub-30 times on drops. Both systems running high 4K with no upscaling, so in fairness to this machine, it's not like a game, it just doesn't run. It just doesn't run as well. What's the worst thing we can for 30% on a little bit more? This is going to be apples to apples comparison. 4K medium quality, FSR set quality, motion blur. That's another big fat win for the Vapor contraption. This is not close. We're running 50% faster. How long is it to match your performance? Sure. Can do that. Okay, let's I think we're right on point. In fairness, that's a pretty decent looking game at low settings, so you can really see how you're using some cheats, right? Like there's a lot more sort of Vaseline smears, cinematic autofocus on yours, when actually that's just clearly a hack for the lower units and lower texture quality. And yeah, especially if you look over here. Oh yeah, I've got way more sharpness in the details on the hills. Is there any on the side? Oh yeah, I didn't do it. It's not that many characters. That's where they'll cheat the last. Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, but it's not by that much. There's a clear win, but one that I don't think is going to be that impactful for a lot of years. Oh, this would be an interesting one for us to put the machine to sleep and then resume. 2, 1, go. Oh, all right. I'm pretty good. Holy shnikes. Oh, you're doing really good. This is a, no offense, markedly smoother experience than what I'm looking over there. That makes sense. 100 frames. I would never say this is anything but a good experience. I mean, here, touch my stick. What's that? That's good, yeah. That doesn't even look like 100 FPS. No, I wonder if the sleep and resume would work properly. You know, it's ironic. I was expecting Steam Machine to actually have an advantage in sleep and resume, but it works perfectly on here. Other than that, I can't make up my controller. Check this out. By the time David troubleshoots this, I can put the machine to sleep, and off, and wake it. And I'm back again. And runs with the way smoother. Oh, I thought this was going to be the one time I could. Steam Machine's a really good experience. I think it still is. It's not as good. It's like 60, yeah. What the heck? What? Not even 250 frames. Okay, that's more like what I was saying. So we may have found a bug. Sometimes when the quick resume works, it seems to work more than just a resume speed. Yeah. It's going to like and this is 3D software. I expect how to fix it, but we're not going to be able to fix this performance delta. Yeah, I have over 300 frames per second, but yeah, I have over 300 frames per second. Both are very good indie gaming experience. This is a game that I'm expecting to look a lot better online. I totally agree. All right, here we are. Oh, nice. I mean, some of them look more or less good than others.
Barely. Jesus Christ. No. 30 FPS. Man, to me personally, if it is... It's a game that you need to time the shit out, from what I hear. It really matters. Just playing the shit up below 60 is just painful. Unless you know how to time the shit up, regardless of how how awful it is to have. It probably has some input delay as well, maybe. I'm not sure, but still. Oh man, you just unplayable.
I'm barely hanging on to 3. Well, it is clear that the same price for powerful PC in the Steam gaming, you will be making some compromises. Some can be addressed.
I mean, it's not Steam Machine's fault, it's just the developers not being able to use the Unreal Engine properly, but still.
Some can be addressed, like we could cut down our GPU slightly for other quality SSD, but some can be addressed, like the complete lack of CC controlling. For some people, those conveniences are more important than raw performance, and for some people, they just can't live without the segue.
in this video, hey, go check out our free review of the Steam Machine, where we dive a little bit deeper into the performance as well as some of the features that make this machine legitimately completely unique in the market.
Depressing. Anyway. And the case. And
Reddit is home to millions of stories, and while most harmless, some are genuinely disturbing. So, in classic fashion, today we'll be going through all 50 states and giving you one unsettling Reddit story from every state. Along the way, we'll hear about a man who claims to have been in Washington by a strange stranger for days. He fought an organ murder
oh my shit, slow.
of Washington by a strange stranger for days. He fought an organ murder his entire family before fleeing to Mexico and couldn't get any other
Oh yeah, I was still
journalists.
doing
And the last serial killer who flagged black lived and told the story, and so much more. From shocking stories to unsolved mysteries to ghost stories to guessing some fictional stories that are found too. Sorry, some of you want everything real. We tried there are about two fictional stories in this video. But don't worry for those states. There will be some still pointing every single story you're about here in today's video was found or can be found on Reddit.
It's uploading. I mean, I'm gonna move it to the trash playlist anyway.
Hopefully, like that.
Oh, ouch. Okay. Okay, it's too quick actually.
Washington, Unto 3 National Park. R/Let's Not Me is one of those subreddits that once you find it, you lose an hour or two immediately because it's basically a collection of real encounters with strangers that people never wanted to have. Most are unsettling. Every now and then one comes along that goes well past that. And this post from user Valerie Jedi is a good example. He was solo camping near Mount Rainier in Washington, not an official campground, but out in the actual wilderness, where running into another person would have been really surprising. One night he wakes up, unzips his tent, and there's a man sitting right by the remnants of his fire. A couple of feet where he'd been sleeping. Regular looking guy. Nothing immediately off with him. The second they made eye contact though, the man's eyes went wide and he ran. Valerie and Jedi shook off the next day, thinking that it was just an odd encounter. Maybe the guy had a camp nearby, maybe he had a weird night. Easy enough to dismiss. 2 days later, now 10 to 15 miles away in a completely different terrain, he starts hearing noises near his fire and calls out. A voice answers from somewhere in the dark, asking about a place called Bell's Canyon, somewhere he doesn't even think exists there. The voice keeps going, asking completely random questions from just outside the reach of his flashlight, and when he tries to try it that way, the voice tells him to aim it away. He does, figuring it was better to antagonize whoever this was. About 15 minutes of questions from the dark later, he gets the sense the voice is getting closer and shines the flashlight over anyway. Same guy, 15 miles of open wilderness. 2 days apart, the same man shows up twice. He tried to chase him, but stopped after maybe 100 feet. Getting lost chasing a stranger through dark forest wasn't a risk worth taking. He spent the next 3 days hiking out, constantly going back on his own trail, and occasionally hiding to watch anyone came behind him. The first night he kept hearing what sounded like someone walking slow circles outside his tent and found nobody there when he finally looked. The second night, animal sounds started up in the distance that longer he listened to them started sounding a whole lot more like a person howling. He made it back to his car and nearly cried from relief. To this day, he has no idea who the man was or what he wanted. Or a dad that murdered his wife and 3 kids. Someone on r/true crime discussion said this, and it would be really interesting or strange if it were true. In the middle of telling their story, they asked, why are so many family annihilators named Chris? It immediately got me wondering. Obviously, this is coincidental. We'll get back to that. But this was said because the person that was being talked about was Christian Longo, a 27-year-old from Oregon who, on December 18, 2001, strangled his wife Mary Jane and their infant daughter Madison, then tied rocks to his 2 other children, Zachary and Sadie, and threw them to a freezing lake alive. His motive was money or the lack of it. For 3 years, Longo had been running a elaborate lie that included stolen minivans, nearly $30,000 in counterfeit checks, and a waterfront apartment he absolutely could not afford. All to protect the image of a successful, devoted family man that he built for himself. Mary Jane's own sister had described him as a real-life Prince Charming, the kind of husband that made other wives jealous. And again, that image was the whole point. When the fraud started collapsing and there was nothing left to hold together, he killed them all. Then he fled to Cancun, spent the next month partying at youth hostels, visiting 9 ruins, and getting romantically involved with an amateur photographer he met there along the way. And he was doing all this while posing as Michael Finkel, a real New York Times journalist he admired for years. Finkel, in the strangest of timings, had just been fired from New York Times for fabricating a story and was sitting at Rock Bottom in Montana when he found out a family murder had been living as him. At trial, Longo admitted to killing Mary Jane and Madison, but claimed Mary Jane had murdered the other 2 children herself. The jury took about 4 hours to convict him on all 4 counts and he was sentenced to death. Later committed to life in prison in 2021. And by the way, I looked into the Chris thing, and yeah, I found a few: Chris Watts, Chris Coleman, Christian Longo, but obviously that is just coincidental. So no, if you're watching this and your name is Chris or Christian, I'm not saying you're gonna be a family murderer. Anyway, let's on to the next one. California said he chopped them up. There's a post on r/creepy encounters from a user called LadyBoy07 that starts about as casually as these stories tend to. His sister and his friend were out walking through the redwoods in Mendocino County, California, when a man appeared out of practically nowhere. Normal-looking guy who his sister even said was kind of handsome. Something was immediately off though. He wanted to know what they were doing, quote, in his woods. So they told him they were just out exploring. He called them liars. Then he asked them to kiss each other, claiming he could tell they were lesbian lovers. And just so you know, they were not lesbians and not lovers either. When the friends turned around and told him to leave him alone, he went completely still. His sister described the look that came across his face as the most evil thing she had ever seen in her life. What he said next was, "You two are such disrespectful bitches. I killed a few of you over the last few years, and I love to add you both to my counts." He chased them through the tree, screaming he would chop them up. They made it out, drove back to town, and filed a police report. But he used them out. It stops being just a creepy story. A comment on the same post who actually lived in Mendocino County mentioned that 2 women's bodies had recently been found along different stretches of train tracks running through the county, both female, believed to be connected, and that local authorities had quietly admitted there was a suspect serial killer operating out of Ukiah, a city sitting squarely within Mendocino County. At almost the same time, a warning was circulating on Facebook across Napa, Sonoma, and Mendocino County, listing 4 women found dead within a single month. Crystal Leah McCarthy, age 37, pulled from the Napa River. Amber Dillon, 33, found off Highway 101 near Cloverdale. Alyssa Masadi, age 22, found near Ukiah. And a 4th, Cynthia Crane, 33, found in Mays Canyon in Grenville. And asked whether the men was that anything to do with any of that. Nobody knows. But it makes what he said out there considerably hard to write off as
I know.
someone just having a bad day.
It's me.
Alaska. Was it gamey or human remains?
Ow.
Found near Ukiah. And a 4th, Cynthia Crane, 33, found in Mays Canyon in Grenville. And asked whether the men was that anything to do with any of that. Nobody knows. But it makes what he said out there considerably hard to write off as a ramblings of someone just having a bad day. Alaska. Was it gamey or human remains? In Alaska during the 1970s, Anchorage was a boom town. The Trans-Alaska Pipeline had drawn floods of oilmen and construction workers into the city practically overnight, and with them came an underground economy of drugs and sex work. It was the kind of place where people arrived in the roots and nobody waited for them back home, which meant that when they started disappearing, it took a while for anyone to notice. You could say Robert Hansen was one of those that noticed because, well, he was behind. For context, he was a bakery owner in downtown Anchorage, married with 2 kids, a kind of low-key guy that cops stopped in to see for coffee and donuts on a regular basis. He also had a pilot's license and a small bush plane, perfectly normal for Alaska, by the way, and was known around the town as a serious hunter. What nobody picked up on was that over the course of roughly a decade, he had been abducting women, flying them into the Alaskan wilderness, releasing them on foot, hunting them down. He was caught in 1983 after a woman named Cindy Paulson managed to escape. She'd been chained to the ceiling of his den and tortured, and got loose at a small airport while he was loading his plane. When police searched his home, they found jewelry belonging to several missing women. The rifle matching shell cases found near bodies along the Snake River, and a map hidden in his bed's headboard with dozens of X marks scattered across the Alaskan bush. He eventually confessed to 17 murders. Now, a comment on the Reddit thread covering the case is what really makes land. A user whose grandfather was mayor of Palmer at the time wrote that 2 of her teachers, a married couple, had been neighbors with Hansen, and they used to give them free game meat regularly. When Hansen was arrested, police put out a notice telling anyone who received meat from him to dispose of it immediately and under no circumstances eat it. The teacher had just been a fresh batch and was counting on it to get through the winter. But was it game meat or, something from one of his victims? Idaho. Murder among classmates. A few years back, a Reddit user going by Shake Some Hands posted an AMA on r/true crime discussion with a pretty simple premise. He was a junior in high school and was murdered another one of his classmates. He sat in class with all 3 of them. This happened to be the case of the Cassie Jo Stoddard murder. In September 2006 in Pocatello, Idaho, 16-year-old Cassie was house sitting at her aunt's place when 2 of her friends, Tori Downsett and Brian Draper, both also 16, snuck back into the basement after pretending to leave for the night, waited until her boyfriend was gone, and stabbed her approximately 30 times. They had filmed themselves planning it beforehand, comparing themselves to Ted Bundy and Ed Gein, talking about how there, quote, should be no law against killing people, and saying they wanted to be just like Scream except real life. Cassie was found 2 days later by her 13-year-old cousin, but the Reddit thread gives us a glimpse of how all this looked from the inside of the school. He, the Redditor, had sat next to Tori Downsett in art class, talked about horror movies with him, and seen them together in middle school. Remember having a small crush on Cassie Stoddard freshman year, described her as genuinely kind, and said she quietly encouraged frustration before a class presentation when he was too shy to get up in front of people. Brian Draper, here remembered as loud and obnoxious, always trying to get attention, but nothing that would have made anyone think twice about him. When the full content of the Voices video came out, planning the hit list, the talk of ending the talk of ending everything in school, it turned out the list wasn't made up of fictional characters. Those were real students, real names, and the OP, his friends, and his family all went to that school. Brian's friends were shocked when he got arrested. Meanwhile, Tori found a book proclaiming his innocence in Nevada. Killer on loose in northern Nevada 8 years ago. Right user going by Darth Barda posted on r/no sleep about driving the I-80 from Salt Lake City to Reno with her younger brother and about what happened. When he saw someone between Carlin and Winnemucca in the middle of the night, he pulled into a gas station in Carlin. She went inside while her brother stayed in the car. When she came back out, she was visibly shaken. While she'd been inside, a man had walked up to the window, knocked on it, and told him he was going to die that night, and walked away. No car, just appeared, set it, and disappeared on foot. They kept driving. About an hour later, they were in the middle of nowhere with literally no service or even lights anywhere around them. They pulled over in the open desert at the beach. She crossed the road to find a spot. Seconds later, she heard what she described as engine running over. She ran back to the road in time to watch the headlights accelerate, jerk hard left across the median, and disappeared into the dark. Her brother screamed her name out into the desert and went silent. He basically got kidnapped, left in the desert alone. OP said after a while, a motorcycle passed by and offered help. It happened to have been an FBI agent out there investigating what he called thrill kills along the interstate. He got her safety, called for backup, and before dropping her at the nearest airport, which was Winnemucca Municipal Airport, he told her flatly that he believed everything she said. Now, while you might not 100% have evidence for the story, the FBI bit is as real as it gets. The FBI's highway serial killings initiative did exist. Since 2004, they have been tracking 8 documented pattern murders along American interstates and have compiled records on over 500 victims found dumped along on your highways. Alongside a list of roughly 200 potential suspects. Most victims are willing to pick up truck spots. The suspects are predominantly long-haul truck drivers. Darth Barda never came back to post an update. It's been 8 years. Utah. Neglected kid dies by suicide. Discovery Ranch Academy in Mapleton, Utah marks itself as a therapeutic haven for troubled teenagers. When Catherine and Joshua Silver Center 17-year-old adopted some birth there in April 2024, they believed it was a safe, supportive environment where he could get real help for his depression and ideation. What the facility apparently gave him instead was a level of negligence that's really hard to process. The family's account laid out in a legal notice filed in November and shared on r/Salt Lake City is very hard to rationalize because it seems very intentional. Days after Brooke arrived, he told his parents on a family call a relative of one of his employees had physically assaulted him. The facility never disclosed his parents' work to the authorities. The family only found out after demanding a report themselves. Months later, on October 23rd, Burke disclosed a detailed plan during a session with a psychiatrist, Jonathan Brinkman, a psychiatrist who only ever met him virtually. Brinkman did not place Burke under one-on-one supervision or inform parents, which is the right thing to do. Instead, his documented response was a note to check back with the boy 1 week later. That same day, on a separate family call, Burke's parents learned their son had been engaging in a dangerous behavior involving a bell and that he had been doing it up to 20 times a day for over a week. When they raised the alarm, the counselor told him it was, quote, low on the totem pole of concerns. Catherine Silver sent roughly 25 emails to staff in the 9 days before her son died. On November 1st, Burke disclosed another plan to harm himself and possibly others. Burke again said nothing to the parents. On November 5th, Burke was left alone with no staff present while other residents were taking to separate activity. He was 17 when he took his life. When the family asked afterward whether the facility had allowed bells among residents, the executive director's explanation was that it was so the kids' quotes cracks would not show. I'm assuming butt cracks. Arizona SA in a long-term care facility. For Arizona, I'll start with this comment on r/true crime made by Mari Sunstrider 94. She wrote about trying to report a female coworker who was abusing an elderly dementia patient at her own facility, calling him her boyfriend, climbing into his bed. You know, the whole nasty chain. When she reported it, the administration told her she was, quote, starting a drama. The employee then texted her while she was at a funeral threatening to beat her up. She left her shift with a friend looking for her on camera, and the administration's response was to tell the whistleblower she had trouble getting along with women and needed retraining. She quit on the spot. Her closing observation was this: when abuse is happening in a long-term facility, more often than not, it is known. It's swept under the rug more than you believe. The case she was counting on because this was a threat of comments on her case made that point in the worst possible way. In December of 2018, a nurse at Hacienda Healthcare in Phoenix named Nathan Sutherland was arrested after a staff member noticed that a 29-year-old incapacitated patient in their care was in the process of giving birth. Yup, she was undergoing the delivery process where the staff changing her sheets noticed. All along, nobody at the facility had known she was pregnant. The woman had lived there since she was 3 years old. The result of a brain disorder left her with no functional use of her limbs, no vision, and without any ability to communicate. So, who was responsible? DNA from her newborn son matched Sutherland. The medical examiner revealed she had been violently and repeatedly assaulted over an extended period and may have been pregnant before. The family had been explicitly promised by the state that only female staff would care for their daughter. Sutherland had been alone with her on hundreds of occasions between 2012 and 2018, mostly on overnight shifts. He was sentenced to 10 years. Montana, almost killed by hospital, blackmailed by uncle. When you're dealing with two separate legal emergencies at once and have no idea where to turn, apparently a lot of people end up on r/legal advice, which is both completely understandable and also a little concerning when you think about the stakes involved. But that's exactly where a Montana user going by Maximum Me 2661 landed. And given what she was up against, I mean, I can't blame her. The first issue, her local hospital, the only one in town, had been misdiagnosing her for months. Every time she came in with back pain and vomiting, they sent her home with a diagnosis of 420 poisoning, anxiety, or muscle spasms. So what was actually happening was that her kidneys were failing, and the treatment they kept giving her required functional kidneys to process, which meant every hospital visit was actively compounding the damage. That alone would have been enough for one red post, but like I already said, she had 2 issues. The second situation was unfolding at the same time. With her electricity $800 in arrears and shut off. She had been going to her husband's uncle's house to shower because hot water was the only thing keeping the pain manageable. One day while she was in the bathroom, the uncle walked in, supposedly to see her knee tattoo, and then made comments about her body. At some point, she entered her uncle's house through his dog door because the main doors were locked, and he found out. Rather than pressing charges or simply letting it go, he told her he wanted a sexual favor in exchange for getting the whole thing. Just once he said. She told her husband, then opened Reddit and asked the text for strong enough evidence. I mean, things can't get worse than that, right? Now, r/legal advice isn't the worst starting point for someone trying to understand her options. But for a medical negligence case and criminal blackmail run simultaneously, I bet she needed an actual attorney. Probably too. Wyoming, strange killer now living in a quiet town. This one happens in a town by the name Lone Tree, roughly 60 miles southeast of Evanston in Uintah County. Population barely enough to count, and the man is Mike Hickey, who by the time this article was written was working on his family ranch, having married, and having welcomed back to the Mormon church. What he had done to earn those decades away was this. In the late 1970s, a local man named Mark Hopkinson, described by those who knew him as a man sitting in pinstripes, had a $12,000 dispute with a local sewer board that spiraled into something almost impossible to comprehend. Hickey, then in his early 20s and a severe alcoholic, fell under his influence. When a 15-year-old girl named Kelly Wickes was killed, Hopkinson promised Hickey an alibi. Hopkinson promised Hickey an alibi. Then, for that promise and $2,000, Hickey drove to Evanston one night after finishing a fifth tequila at a local bar, and threw 36 of the dynamite into the home of attorney Vince Bahar, who had been involved in Hopkinson's lawsuit. Bahar, his wife, and their 15-year-old son all died. A young carpenter named Jeff Green eventually came forward to tell authorities what he knew. Before he could testify, his body turned up near an I-80 off-ramp. He'd been tortured. They found more than 140 burn marks across his body, and then he was shot in the neck. Investigators later proved Hopkinson had ordered killing by phone from inside a federal prison in California. Hopkinson was executed in January 1992, the last person put to death by the state of Wyoming. He had been offered a plea deal of life in prison, meaning no execution. He turned it down. Meanwhile, Hickey took a deal, served roughly 20 years under a different name, and came home to Lone Tree. Supposedly he left everything in the past, but people on Reddit hardly ever forget. Colorado, who's the asshole now? In this post, a username Miss Katie 1209 wrote about her boyfriend, a funeral director in Austin, who spent 3 hours with a grieving family on Thanksgiving afternoon, helping them arrange cremation and shipping of their loved one from Austin to Colorado. The following week, the woman called back and accused him of being a thief, taking advantage of people's grief, and posted a Google review claiming return to nature had told her she was getting ripped off. The comment ends with, "Who's the asshole now, Jana?" The irony being that the funeral home she apparently decided to trust, Return to Nature, which was in Penrose, Colorado, was the actual scam. In 2023, police found 189 bodies inside the facility in really bad condition. The bodies were stacked and unrefrigerated, left in various stages of decomposition in a building that marketed itself as offering green, eco-conscious burials and cremations. Families who believed they received their loved ones' cremated remains were given urns filled with plaster, soil, or ashes of completely unknown origin. The owners, John and Carrie Lou Halford, had been collecting fees for services they were not performing while bodies accumulated on the property. The user posted the thread, Northbound 4405, framed as a question about the industry itself. How a facility could operate that way for so long without inspection, and whether Return to Nature was an isolated case or something the funeral industry quietly allows to happen. It's a fair question. The funeral industry in the US is largely self-regulated, operates during the most emotionally vulnerable moments of people's lives, and as the comments make clear, has no shortage of customers who will turn out a legitimate director working Thanksgiving before they ever think to question the business that was actually failing them. John Halford was there since the prison. 189 families are still waiting on answers. New Mexico, insanely huge medical malpractice compensation. So a 66-year-old man from Rio Rancho, New Mexico, let's call him Michael, walked into a clinic called New Male Medical Center looking for 2 things: more energy through testosterone replacement therapy and a medically managed weight loss plan. Pretty normal stuff. But the physician assistant he saw, Stephen Chapman, had other ideas. Even though Michael said he wasn't interested in erectile dysfunction treatment, Chapman pushed it anyway, framing it as something that would work alongside the testosterone therapy. Michael eventually agreed to a plan that included testosterone pellet implants in his butt and at-home penis injections. When Michael came back saying things weren't working, Chapman shot 75% more of the chemicals into Michael's penis that prescribed at a stronger concentration than he should have, and he sent him home with a medically induced erection saying, "Go show all your friends." He said this to a 66-year-old man. Michael couldn't get rid of the erection all weekend. He returned to the clinic, staff ran painful procedures that didn't work, and Chapman told him to drive himself to the emergency room. By the time the surgery happened, the damage was already permanent. His attorney's description of what's left isn't something you forget easily. Quote, "A lump of scar tissue that doesn't work in any way, shape, or form." The jury awarded Michael $412 million, potentially over $550 million once interest kicks in, which would end up being the largest medical malpractice verdict in US history. Now, on Reddit, someone claims to be an MD with inside knowledge of the legal team posted a comment that honestly made the whole thing a lot darker. According to them, Chapman was being, quote, supervised by a non-urologist operating from a completely different state, and patients were told that skipping the injections would harm them and that the treatment would cure their erectile dysfunction entirely, none of which had any legitimate medical basis. They also pointed out that while the $30 million compensation award hits the malpractice insurance, the $370 million cumulative portion targets the corporation running these clinics across the country, and whether that money actually ever gets paid out is, in their words, a whole other story. Hawaii, the Honolulu Strangler. Hawaii has its reputation as a paradise paradise of beautiful beaches, laid-back culture, and this unshakable sense that bad things just don't happen there. So when 5 women were murdered in Honolulu between May 1985 and April of 86, it shook the islands in a way nobody was prepared for, because this is Hawaii's first documented serial killer case, and it has never been solved. All 5 victims were found assaulted, strangled, and with their hands tied behind their backs with parachute cord. 2 bodies turned up at the same location of Kihi Lagoon, a secluded beach park the killers seemed to deliberately return to. The victims had nothing obvious in common. One was a military wife who went clubbing and never made it home. The other a 17-year-old who missed her school bus and called her boyfriend at 7:15 a.m. to say she'd be late. Another was a telephone company secretary who just didn't show up for work one day. Another was a woman who had just come back to Oahu after losing her mother. The last victim, Linda Pesky, of 36 years old, left for work meeting one morning in April 86, was found days later at Sand Island. Now police put together a 27-person task force with FBI FBI involvement, and eventually zeroed in on a man named Howard Gay, a military veteran and telephone lineman with a documented history of violence, whose ex-wife and girlfriend both told investigators left his Taiwan's hands behind their backs during sex, and whose name and phone number turned up on a notepad in Pesky's office. Had some evidence against him. He failed polygraph, for example, and when police released the description of a cream colored van connected to the murders, Gay was spotted shortly after, scraping the lettering off the back of his. Still no physical evidence. He was arrested and released, coincidentally or maybe not. The murder stopped the moment he was taken in. Anyway, Gay died in 2003, but this Redditor who recently dug into the case made a point. Forensic genealogy exists now, and that parachute court is still sitting in an evidence locker somewhere. This case might not actually be done with. North Dakota, a growl in the dense fog. Someone on Reddit asked r/North Dakota a simple enough question: what strange creatures have you seen or heard about in the state? Any local legends worth knowing? Most responses were what you expect from a largely flat rural Midwestern state. Then a username Skullery answered. His story goes back about a decade, dragging home with friends after a late night out somewhere in those early hours when the sun was barely starting to come up. That's when they noticed a dense, completely random patch of fog sitting out in a field off the road, so thick it was spilling off the pavement and totally isolated with no fog anywhere else in either direction. They were young, nobody was drunk or high, and it was just too strange to drive past, so they pulled over and ran straight in. For 10 to 15 minutes they were fully swallowed by it. Couldn't see 5 feet ahead of them, could only track each other by the sound of voices, turning into tall grass, disappearing and disappearing in an instant as they moved through it. Skullery described the whole thing as almost mystical, like you could physically feel the fog against your skin, and had this freeing adventurous energy to it right up until it didn't. From somewhere directly ahead of them in the unseen, something about a deep, guttural growl. Skullery described an iron taste hitting the back of his throat, every hair standing at once, his shoulders dropping like dead weight. He didn't run though, because whatever made that sound could easily outrun them, and panicking would only trigger it. So they walked calmly back to the car, keeping their voices steady enough that the third friend who had heard the growl would lose it and roll away. Once they drove off, there wasn't a single other patch of fog on that road, and years later Skullery looked up the sounds of prairie cats, bears, and moose that occasionally wandered through the state just to check. None of them came close. South Dakota, feisty debate around rapper's death. This post on r/Fargo shared news about a local rapper named Kip Gabriel, known in the scene as Kip G, who had been found dead in rural South Dakota just days after multiple women posted sexual misconduct allegations against him online. The problem here though is that the community had no idea how to process it. Kip G had been a fixture in Fargo for years, an upbeat, energetic presence who regularly performed downtown and promoted shows throughout the area. When the allegations surfaced, he denied all the reporter the accusers were quote girls he had dated. There was more context than string of anonymous posts to capture. Days later, at 37 years old, he was dead. Now the allegations themselves weren't minor. About 9 to 10 women had shared detailed overlapping accounts on Twitter, being made drunk, being physically forced, being cornered in places they couldn't leave. One account described him trapping a girl on top of a venue and refusing to let her go until she kissed him. The thread was pulled down after the woman who posted it started receiving death threats. One of the accusers, a local colonist named Josie Gans, went on record saying Kip had her in 2008 and explained why she hadn't spoken up sooner, but they hadn't been able to define what happened to her at the time. The Reddit thread meanwhile pulled in every direction at once. People who knew him were devastated and confused, and there was no clean resolution, especially because the Twitter thread was gone. The Facebook group had been deleted, and Kip G was there before anyone could answer anything. Nebraska, a darker side to Boys Town. He read a post on r/old teens from someone living near a Boys Town office kicking off. They had noticed something unsettling about the staff, like a dismissive, power-hungry attitude that felt deeply off for people supposedly working with vulnerable kids. They asked if anyone knew what Boys Town was really like on the inside. The comments told them to look up the Franklin Credit Union scandal. Boys Town was founded in 1917 by a Catholic priest outside Omaha, Nebraska, and spent decades as one of America's most celebrated children's charities. Beloved enough to inspire an Oscar-winning film in the 1980s, a charismatic Republican fundraiser named Larry King, who managed the Franklin Federal Credit Union in Omaha, developed close commercial ties to Boys Town, and began sending its young residents to work for companies. What he was actually using those kids for was something else. King ran a network. Children as young as 8 were brought to parties hosted by King and a circle of wealthy, politically connected men in Omaha. They were abused, filmed, and given cocaine and heroin as a means of control. Multiple survivors described being flown across the country. Some even got on private midnight tours to the White House by King and his associates. The Nebraska State Legislative Committee launched an investigation, gathered detailed videotape testimony from multiple victims with strikingly overlapping accounts, and the evidence pointed directly at some of the most prominent figures in the state. Then lead investigator Gary Caradori died when his small plane broke apart in the air over Illinois in July of 1990 with his 8-year-old son AJ aboard. His briefcase was never found, and the FBI impounded all Caradori's records within 24 hours. The teenage survivor who refused to change her story, Alicia Owen, was charged with perjury and sentenced to between 9 and 25 years. Larry King received 15 years for fraud alone, never charged for the abuse, and Alan Bear, named by multiple child victims as a sadistic abuser, was fined just $500. I can only agree with the other comment that was left in the thread. Boys Town gets worse the more you look into it. Kansas. Personal encounter with Elizabeth Polly. Legend. What strange creatures have you seen or heard about in Kansas? Someone asked that on r/Kansas, and the story of Elizabeth Polly came up from 2 different people who both went to Fort Hays State University, each with an account that is hard to easily explain. The legend starts with a cholera outbreak at Old Fort Hays, a military outpost in western Kansas in the 1800s. Elizabeth Polly, wife of one of the station's soldiers, spent her final days nursing sick men before contracting the disease herself. Her dying wish was to be buried at the top of Sentinel Hill, where she and her husband used to walk after they married. When so many deaths to manage at once, they buried her near the base of the hill instead. She's been spotted in the area ever since, sometimes as a blue floating orb, sometimes as a drifting figure near Sentinel Hill. The first commenter, a senior student at FHSU, told about a prank that stopped being a prank right on that hill. He was recruited by the resident advisors to dress in black with glow sticks and a blue bed sheet to scare a group of freshman girls out of the hill. Two of them, apparently hardcore Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails, weren't scared at all and came charging right at him. He told them to play along and run back up screaming. What he missed because he was hiking up the other side of the hill at the time was that a real blue orb had appeared behind those girls and followed their cars across the pasture at 20 miles an hour back to the monument. Both of those glow sticks shattered on their own, and he pointed out that the glow sticks don't just break without serious force. Then he saw the outline of a woman in 19th century clothing reaching toward him and ran 5 miles back toward the university, where the RAs eventually found him on the road carrying glow chemical and still going back to the dorm. One of the girls started reading Elizabeth Polly's story aloud. The power cut out on that wing only, which the dorm manager said was physically impossible. The second commenter had never heard any of this when she and her boyfriend drove to the fort one night and both independently felt such overwhelming dread that he slammed on the brakes and turned around. The moment they got off the road, the feeling completely vanished. Coincidence? Oklahoma, the Guts Nightmare. There was a haunted house in Tulsa, Oklahoma called Nightmare, run every year by a church called Guts. And one of the more interesting jobs you could have in it was something they called being a plant. A former volunteer explained how it worked on Reddit. His younger sister was one of them, and her role was to visitor groups during orientation, passes any other scared teenager, and get close to whoever seemed most frightened, telling them things like it's okay, you can hide behind me, I'll protect you. Then when the group reached the shooting scene, the actors already knew who the plants were, pulled them out in front of everyone and executed them. He laughed about it back then, he said. Looking back on it now, he admitted, you realize how messed up that was. Nightmare ran for years under the tagline, it'll scare the hell out of you, billing itself as a graphic walkthrough of real life modern day struggles. A 2015 review from a TU student described it as one of the most sickening things she had encountered because of what it specifically depicted. Violence in a bathroom stall, a coat hanger, abortion, a bullied student's murder, a shooting scene. Where was the haunted part of all this? Where's Michael Myers? Where's Ghostface? What are we doing? So apparently they were trying to spread word about modern day struggles, but doing it in probably one of the most horrible ways possible. So much for the term haunted house. The intended audience was teens and preteens, with a supposed minimum age of 12 that the reviewer noted clearly wasn't being enforced. At the end, visitors walked through simulated hell and then offered the chance to accept Christ. Oh, and there were other creepy details like a butcher room with dismembered bodies and dead fetuses, with death metal on the speaker source from the church's own youth group. And the same comments from before mentioned that while he was involved with the church, arranged marriages for young people were openly displayed. He even watched a friend walking holding hands with a man more than twice her age. A relationship that had apparently been going on since she was 15. Nightmare closed around 2020 and never reopened. The general Reddit consensus was good riddance. Honestly, guys, after reading this can be a video on its own. This sounds extremely worse than horrible. I don't even know what word to use. Anyway, let's on to Texas. Texas almost took out by waist deep Texas hurricane water. The Reddit thread about what goes on in your head when you're convinced you're going to die pulled in a lot of responses. The one stood out because the person writing it from the Gulf Coast, which Texas is very much part of, had been through it just the week before. The user Dongalore had stayed home for the Hurricane Harvey, which seemed like a reasonable call at first, since only about 2 inches of water came into the house. The worst seemed to have passed, and most rooms were still dry. He was watching live stream, the sky redoubled, and the wind picked back up. Over the next 20 minutes, the water turned and rose halfway up the walls, with the breakers popping and the water rising to his waist. And he's 6'8", so doing the math on how deep it actually was. Spotted a neighbor's house at the end of the street, built up on a hill with the lights still on. The walk was only 60 to 70 feet. He decided to go. What that walk was actually like, water moving fast at his waist, wind gusting at 50 miles per hour, blowing directly towards him. Rain so heavy he couldn't breathe when facing the direction he needed to go. His own thought in the crossing was, this is how people drown in needy water. At the exact halfway point, lightning struck a house directly to his left, less than 30 feet away. And at that moment, he said he almost just sat down in the water and gave up. He pushed through, made it to the neighbor's porch, and collapsed on the wicker furniture. He for 10 minutes before anyone noticed he was out there. He sat naked in the neighbor's bathroom while his clothes dried, walked out to find an impromptu hurricane party already going. And when someone had him a beer and sandwich, he started shaking. He spent the rest of that night quietly going through his entire life in his head. He wrote, this is the third time Mother Nature tried to wash me off her ass. He was done with the Gulf Coast. Minnesota disturbed kids, killer. When the story broke about a man named David Bruce DeLong being his 20-year-old coworker to death with a sledgehammer at a welding shop in Cooktown, Minnesota. Someone on r/Minnesota said they weren't surprised. This person had ridden the school bus with DeLong for years, growing up outside Sunburg, a town of about 100 people in central Minnesota. They described him as a super weird kid with virtually no friends, basically the outcast who had anger issues from a very young age, would regularly lose the attitude of brother and sister on the bus. He was the oldest of 3, and then they wrote that if they had any people that actually met in their life they thought were most likely to commit murder, DeLong would definitely be in the top 3. So what happened? Well, surveillance footage at Advanced Process Technologies showed him leaving his workstation early on the morning of November 11, 2025, walking over to the workstation of Amber Check, picking up a sledgehammer and hitting her over the head and striking her 4 more times after she landed on the ground. Deputies arrived after a 911 call about an employee with significant head trauma and pronounced her dead at the scene. When taken into custody, DeLong told deputies he had planned the attack for some time, intended to kill her, and simply did not like her. She was only 20 years old. Iowa, and some pooper. So this one comes straight from r/Iowa, where someone asked locals to share their strangest experiences. And a user called Drywalls437 dropped a comment he might not even be worth mentioning. Turns out it was. Around the year 2000, he and his family were living in a small 1.5-story house in northeast Iowa. But let's pause for a moment because I need you to visualize the layout of the house clearly so that you can understand understand the rest of what's about to happen. The kid slept upstairs, the parents' bedroom was on the main floor, and right at the end of the short hallway sat only the bathroom. When Nike wakes up needing to use it, the light's already on and the door's closed. His wife is still in bed, so he figures regardless being there since the son was way too young to be going in by himself. He waits. A few minutes go by and nothing happens, so his wife eventually gets up too. Now they're both standing in the hallway together, whispering about how their daughter really needs to hurry up. Then the toilet flushes, the lights click off, and the door just doesn't open. He calls out to his daughter, and nothing. Opens the door himself, and he finds nobody there. He checks the window, and it was closed and latched, and not just any window either. It was one of those old double-hung windows that required hitting a couple of specific spots just to get it moving, and they almost never open. There is no version of events where someone quietly slipped out of there. He openly admits he's never been a ghost or real kind of guy, but his wife is, and she had already told him she felt there were presences in that house before any of this happened. The kids backed her up too. When the family mentioned the new place had ghosts as well. Nicer ones reportedly. He personally hasn't experienced anything at the new house, which makes that one night stand completely alone as the one thing he genuinely cannot blame. Whatever was haunting that house apparently just needs to use the toilet and leave.
Oh boy.
needs to use the toilet and leave Missouri. Drug addict people in r/St. Louis were collecting weird stories about rural Missouri. The user called Half Fork Half Man dropped this one about Potosi, a small town in Washington County, about 80 miles south of St. Louis. His car broke down and he ended up having to sleep in an old gas station in the middle of the woods. Normal enough situation. So
Jeez, the internet is not doing well. It's more like the VPN.
situation. So midnight rolled around. That's when a creepy old meth head woman started walking circles around his car. At first, he just caught shadows because she came at an angle. Then she walked right up and stuck her face through his half-open window, like her head was literally partially inside the car. Her face right next to his. Described it as looking like a human in her was gone and nothing was left except for a fiend. His keys were buried in a pile of tools he'd been using to try to fix the engine, so he couldn't start the ignition. And he couldn't even roll the window up, just stood there staring at his belongings. Then asked his name, where he was from. He asked what she wanted, no reply. He eventually turned around and walked off into the darkness. He drove off even though the engine was making the damn chores, just to get about 100 yards down the road to a storage shed where he could park and sort of hide the car behind. He sat awake all night checking in front of him behind the car until morning. And the thing is, another comment on the same thread confirmed this wasn't a one-off. He family knew him from St. Louis, so he waited development near Potosi specifically to escape the city and ended up discovering that more than half her neighbors were meth addicts. The house got broken into every time they left for more than a couple of days. Obviously, the neighbors doing it. Then one of those neighbors burning leaves during the dry winter set her own house on fire and took part of theirs with it. It lasted about a year before packing up. On fire and took part of theirs with it. It lasted about a year before packing up and leaving for good. But Potosi was just not it. Arkansas, the strange Crest City Lights. This one is a legend people in Arkansas have been hearing about since childhood. One that most people in that corner of the state know, even if it never got famous in the way that Gordon Light did, which is Arkansas's more well.
Yeah, that's a 360.
Phenomenon. Crest City is a railroad crossing a few miles south of Louisville in Lafayette County, southwest Arkansas. And when people say nothing is there, they mean absolutely nothing. Not even a wide spot in the road. A legend goes that a man lost his head in a railway accident there, and his ghost now wanders across the night, appearing as a mysterious floating light, still searching for it. Multiple eyewitnesses over the years claim that when the light appeared, the car suddenly stopped working. There's even a story about a local cop who said the light actually got into the car with him. Though the commenter notes that alcohol played a role in pretty much every account, including now.
I wonder if it's computing. Let's see the performance.
Popular enough, though, high schoolers use it as a double date spot. Drive out to Highway 29, turn west onto a dark country road, park next to the unlit crossing with no lights or cross arms, and wait for something that almost never came. About 35 years ago, this person and his friend Gilbert were out driving at 1 a.m. on Saturday night, and yelled, had been drinking on their back road watering, brought them to the stop sign on the east side of Highway 29, still about half a mile from the tracks. Then, without any warning, the car just died. He tried to start it, but it barely.
Yep, we can never tell. I mean, well, since I have the VPN open, it just everything goes through the VPN. I cannot tell if there's any other program using. What the fuck? OBS just sending data out of nowhere. Yeah, very normal. Very normal. That's very normal. Very fucking normal.
And the cop
Great
just
stuff.
never set foot in Swan's life. He gets paired with an experienced officer named Kelsey, and they head in. Humidity, bugs, seed sinking into mud, and then Kelsey just disappears up
Just sending data out of nowhere. Yeah, fuck my life.
That's when Catfish appears. The shallow water towards him. That's when Catfish appears, completely calm, water dripping off his oversized sweater, and casually mentions that the serial killer is already dead, taken by whatever else lives there. He walks the cop to the body, which has been torn wide open. Then the ground disappears from under the cop's feet, and hands are pulling down into the dark water. Multiple hands from multiple directions. Kelsey, who has been missing the whole time, somehow pulls him back out. The following Tuesday, the cop sits across from Catfish and asks him directly, "Are you human?" Nope. Catfish says without any hesitation, "I'm just Catfish." He explains that the cop had accidentally wandered onto the wrong side of the bayou. Aside where things hunt, that he pulled him back because the cop had bought lunch and he owed him one. They negotiated a deal immediately, 2 lunches a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and Catfish keeps him crossing over again. The cop took on it without hesitating. Wisconsin, strange case of drugs, wrongful conviction, and a lying grandma. Game over WI 71717 from Wisconsin. Got one of the stranger childhood proximity to crime stories you'll come across. The comics grew up in combined lots. A small town in Wisconsin in 1994 when they were at Chance Elementary School. Teachers started telling students to stay close to the building and away from the soccer goal that opened onto the nearby field. The reason being that a man was out there grabbing girls who were riding bikes and killing them. The group was a few blocks from where all of it was happening, and they mentioned that to this day they can walk out their front door and see the house belonging to Gerald Argle, the one that David Spandauer, the serial killer, broke into. In fact, the comments went to school with Spandauer's son, Brant, who apparently told classmates at some point that his dad had wished he had just killed Spandauer. When he broke into their house, so the killing put a stop before they went as far as they did. And then, almost as a side note, the comments mentioned hanging out with a girl who lived a few houses down, whose younger brother used to lock them in his room and torment them when they were children. They say they don't fully remember everything that happened in there, then they add almost casually, Google Bradley Bocher, that's him. And actually, if you Google him, you'll find this man who killed his mother committed psychiatric hospital. That's a lot for just one childhood. Illinois, a stillbirth case with horrific possibility. The next one starts with a dead baby in Illinois in 1987. And it really doesn't get lighter from there. 1987 in either Rock Island or Moline, Illinois. A mother was 7 or 8 months pregnant with a baby boy. The doctor overseeing the pregnancy was a well-respected OBGYN, which is another word for an obstetrician gynecologist. Known around the community specifically for doing charity care for low-income families. Exactly the kind of doctor you trust without question. The baby was born dead. That part is confirmed. There are photographs, and years later, the remains were exhumed to be buried in a different state. They were there. What's not confirmed is what the family always said caused it. According to both parents, during a routine examination, the doctor of the mother had inserted an instrument into the baby and forced early labor. He then delivered the stillborn himself and she was admitted to the ER afterward. The parents said they filed a police report. They also said no arrest was ever made and no charges were ever brought because the doctor standing in the community, growing up in the household and growing up under the way of all the mother drank, abused pills, and by their own account was abusive towards kids. It was consumed for decades, but believed that an entire hospital had close ranks to protect the man who killed their son. The reason they went to r/legal advice as an adult was that they started quietly investigating, but a FOIA request to the Illinois Attorney General came back empty when no records found. There may have been a civil suit where the mother was awarded damages, but nothing confirmed. Just a family story that never fully added up. And a grave that got moved twice. Michigan, an unforgettable rotten hell obituary. This obituary showed up on r/pics that went almost viral immediately. And then a username Redlaw appeared in the threads mentioning that the woman who wrote it was the roommate's mom, and that they heard about it about a week before it public. That Gail was an incredibly caring person. The way the family in the 10 minutes they spoke, that one comment put a face on the whole thing. The obituary is for Linda Lerner Harvey Cullen Smith Stoll. Yeah, her last names, which is already a hint to what's coming. Linda died on December 12, 2023 in Three Rivers, Michigan. Her daughter Gail wrote this. It starts with Linda's birth in 1951. It gets dark fast. Her first husband was seen leaving Gail's by a father. Her second husband legally adopted Gail, then vanished from their lives after divorce. Then came husband number 3, James Floyd Hart, who abused Gail when she was 13. Linda's response wasn't to protect her daughter. She accused Gail of trying to steal her husband and beat her senselessly. After that divorce, Linda found husband number 4 through what the obituary describes as the unofficial or illegible word of mouth inmate run Jackson State Prison pen pal program. And in between all 4 marriages, there were, in Gail's words, a variety of unsavory men in and out of her home. Gail cut contact 24 years before Linda died, getting no contact orders to protect herself and her children. In March 2023, to find out who her real biological father was through a DNA service, something Linda had lied about for decades. The obituary ends with, the world is a much better place without her. And right below that, Gail says she forgives her and hopes she found peace. Both things at the same time. Indiana odds against an innocent 9-year-old. A reporter named James Way posted in r/Fort Wayne years after covering this case for the Journal Gazette, writing that the things they can report at time would make an already appalling story considerably worse. The comment is where this one starts. Aliana Lamont was 9 years old when she was murdered in Fort Wayne, Indiana, just before Christmas 2011. Her family had moved to a trailer park so her mother could help care for her dying grandfather, who was a convicted sex offender, by the way. The park had roughly 2 dozen homes and 15 registered sex offenders living in them. When at nearly every occupied trailer before moving in, Aliana's mother had actually asked her father directly whether 2 specific men in the park were safe to have around her children. One of them being the neighbor Michael Plumidor. Her father said yes, he was one of those sex offenders. When her mother got sick with the flu, Aliana and her 2 sisters stayed with Plumidor for about a week, trusted family friend, 3 or 4 years of knowing each other. What nobody mentioned was that Plumidor had been a fugitive for 11 years, having fled Florida after a prison sentence in 2000. He bludgeoned Aliana to death with a brick, hid her body in a freezer, and later dismembered her. Now the report in print is that the Journal Gazette journalist had interviewed Plumidor inside his trailer before his arrest, before he was even publicly a suspect. There was a large pot of boiling water on the stove. The reporter stood within arm's length of the freezer containing Aliana's remains. The entire newsroom read the interview afterward and knew immediately it was him. The reporter who sat across from him believed he was innocent. The reporter also noted the family had a pattern of moving from state to state. The day after Aliana went missing, the family was seen throwing out large amounts of things from the trailer, including computers. Shortly after her funeral, they moved again. Kentucky serial killer hunting down homeless people. On December 21st, 2025, a post went up on r/Louisville titled "Possible Serial Killer in Louisville." Claiming a friend inside LMPD had overheard detectives discussing multiple killings of unhoused people near I-5, and that the killer had been drawing symbols near the body. The comment section was mostly dismissive with people joking around, but between all that, someone replied, "Down the killer guys, that last part aged exactly as badly as you." 4 days after the post on Christmas Day, a homeless man was stabbed near I-65 and survived. The following day, December 26th, police found the body of Michael Howard in a wooded encampment near the interstate. It was new. It his toes and genitals have been cut off, with 7 toes recovered at the scene and went missing. Some 7 cartons of his body matching the description from the Red Post almost exactly. The IP address of that Red Post traces back to a home on Wayne Avenue in Louisville, the home of Michael Histroff, 21 years old. Unhoused people near I-65 described a younger white male in tactical gear, but been assaulting people in that area for months. An officer remembered Travis Stoff in June 2025 matching that description. Body camera footage confirmed it was Histroff. A backpack found at his home contained Howard's blood and one of his severed toes, and a photo recovered from his iCloud showed another. The investigation turned up about him. Histroff rarely left his house, had a history of torturing animals, idolized mass shooters, had Nazi material and white supremacist concept brought home, and had made repeated statements about wanting to hunt homeless people. Yet also apparently posted about his plans on Reddit 3 days before carrying them out. He also SWAT team arrived on May 14th to serve the arrest warrant, but he started shooting so when officers took him down. Back in the comment section of that Reddit post, someone came back 5 months later and wrote, "Well, this is poorly. Tennessee encountered the infamous cornbread dude. It's the early 2000s. This Redditor is allegedly renting a house on Garden Drive in Knoxville, and early gets in the morning when they hear something at the front door. A faint soft rattling and tapping, kind of quiet that somehow lends worse than loud. They rapidly call their security system, which is in the bat, and go check. Through the window at the top of the door, porch light on. Take a look at the man outside, scruffy, round face with a teardrop tattoo. Worth knowing, a teardrop tattoo is a well-recognized symbol in prison culture, typically associated with having served time or, depending on who you ask, something considerably darker. So that's the face of your door at 2 a.m. The man's pitch was that he needed $20 for a flat tire. Redditor told him found city record service was right down the hill and told him to leave. He did, but it was dark enough that they couldn't actually track where he went. They called the cops, but they never came. They went to bed with the bat and didn't sleep another minute. Then they had to drag themselves to class and work in the day. In the comments, locals immediately knew exactly who the Redditor was describing. That man was known around North Knox as Cornbread. Apparently, they needed no introduction to anyone familiar with that part of Knoxville. And it turns out the legend had receipts. Public records show Corey Thomas Ryan facing charges of vandalism and theft with a probation revocation on top of it. Mississippi drunk driver and stolen life and future. And r/Mississippi threat as residents named the worst thing about living in the state. And most of the answers were predictable. Then one commenter dropped something that made everything else sound minor. They were driving home late from Stennis, the Stennis Space Center, and NASA facility on the Gulf Coast. And the drunk driver came straight at them head on, going the wrong way on the interstate. The driver was 3 times legal limit and had no license, no insurance, and was behind the wheel of a stolen car. Redditor pointed out that 3 times over. Also, adults would simply be unconscious, let alone out there driving in the wrong direction. They survived barely. They described it as the driver having quote stolen their entire life and future. They needed 16 life-saving surgeries in the first week, 27 total. The driver having no prior arrest, walked out after 2 nights in jail, counted as time served, paid no fine, and received a 30-day suspension on a license he didn't have. And that was only the beginning of this guy's record. In 2017, the Louisiana State Trooper found Darrell Lee Gaddis Jr., age 33, from Petal, Mississippi, asleep behind the wheel of a parked car on I-10. He's still in the ignition, open drink sitting in the center console. When woken up, Gaddis said he had no idea where he was or how he got there. And admitted he was too drunk to drive. A breath test put his blood alcohol level at 2.5 times legal limit, and a records check revealed by previous DWI arrest back in Mississippi. That Louisiana style was 6. His 7th came later that year when he hit a Mississippi couple on their way home from visiting their grandchildren in North Carolina, killed the wife, and got 15 years. Ohio, tailed by a strange car in the dead of night. This one comes from r/Ohio and involves 2 separate incidents on the same rural road, each with no real explanation. The first happened around 11 p.m. on a summer night. The Redditor was driving through a country on a stretch they knew well, familiar enough to know exactly where to ease off the gas occurs. There were a few hundred feet from one of them when a person wandered straight out of a cornfield towards their headlights. Face carrying what the Redditor described as a strangely mute look. There wasn't time to brake properly, just enough to jerk the wheel and clear them. That alone would have been enough for most people. But about a quarter mile down, on a completely separate night, roughly a year or 2 later, the Redditor and a buddy are out doing what they call good old-fashioned country cruising around 2 a.m. They turn off the same road onto the back road, come around a curve, and suddenly a car's right on their tail, lights blasting into the back window, every mirror in the car glowing. First instinct was that it was a cop, except there hadn't been a single vehicle in sight before they made that turn, which didn't quite add up. Pretty quickly it was obvious it wasn't law enforcement, but a car locked their bumper at whatever speed they tried. The Redditor pushed it to 65 on a hilly country back road, and the car stayed there. They blew a stop sign, still nothing. A friend's parents having to live just off the road at that point. With the pack of dogs that would have woken the whole house, the panic has a way of making you skip the obvious option. They pressed on until hitting a busier intersection, stopped, and just sat there while the car kept flooding the back window with light. The Redditor said it felt like 5 minutes, packed into 30 seconds. Then nothing. They turned left, the car pulled a U-turn, vanished back into the dark in the exact direction it had come from. Never did figure that one out. Alabama. Inbreeding and incest in rural Alabama. 17 years ago, someone on r/IAMA opened themselves up for questions about what life in Alabama was actually like. Snake handling churches, methamphetamine, racism, incest, they seen it all, they said. The thread that followed confirmed every word of it. They commented to a group about 3 miles west of Sand Mountain, talked about the Udi family that was so deeply inbred. The same family eventually made a local paper. When one of the Udi boys got arrested for bestiality, commented to a country by a school bus full of kids who had just stopped to drop off his little sister. The OP had her own. She had a friend working as a 911 dispatcher in the northeastern Alabama County. The county so her high school class had somewhere between 10 and 50 people in it, and one day a call came in for a domestic dispute at a local family's house. They found the poster and her sister had quality nicknamed the inbreds because there were siblings too many of them. They all looked nearly identical, and they all had a sickly, rabby look about them. When police arrived, the situation was this. A teenage daughter had been in a sexual relationship with her father and expected payment. The father's position was that she lived under his roof, so she shouldn't have to pay. Then someone working in adoptions jumped into the thread. The call they once received. A man trying to place an unborn child whose girlfriend turned out to be his sister. She had 3 other children at home, all of them his. The OP could personally confirm at least 3 cases of incest in the Sand Mountain area, all from families that were clannish, isolated, and deep into drug and alcohol abuse. Maine stumbled into a KKK movement. About 8 or 9 years ago, this Redditor was driving through Meadowview, a long remote trail connecting Jay, Livermore, and Canton. And the locals know partly by the rumor that a woman named Kim Moreau is buried out there. The truck crashed and with no other option, they started walking about a mile towards the main road alone. That's when they came across the clearing in the woods. About 20 to 30 people standing in a field in white hoods with burning crosses. They described it as something straight out of a bad movie and said they felt scared. Then, as they put it, I remember in white. A darkly funny closure, sure, but this is part of the story that makes it less surprising than it should be. Maine has a longer history with the KKK than most people would guess. In the 1920s, the organization spread rapidly across the state under a man named F. Eugene Farnsworth, who traveled town to town pushing Protestant values, white supremacy, and a specific fixation on Catholics, arguing that because they owed loyalty to the Pope, they couldn't be true American citizens. By 1923, Klan was claiming a statewide membership of 20,000 people. That same year, 10,000 people showed up to a single initiation ceremony in Portland, where the organization had built a 4,000-seat auditorium. The Bangor chapter alone built a meeting hall size for 2,000 members. A Lewiston newspaper actually suggested the Klan deserved quote fair treatment, honest discussion, and sensible publicity, which was a particularly chilling thing to print given that Lewiston had a large Franco-American community. The whole thing collapsed by 1930, taken down by internal scandals involving bribery, adultery, embezzlement, and bootlegging, with membership shrinking to roughly 225 people statewide. Apparently not quite zero though. New Hampshire, insane medical malpractice. A Redditor in r/New Hampshire went in for a routine surgery at Elliott Hospital in Manchester in 2006 and came out in a coma for 2 weeks, then spent 3 more weeks in IU and nearly 8 weeks in total in a hospital bed. All because the surgeon made a mistake. What made it worse was finding out shortly after that they were the first of 3 patients that the same doctor had botched in a row. The Redditor's brother-in-law, a physician's assistant, happened to be assisting in the operating room for one of those later surgeries, and eventually had to go before the board of directors at Elliott to give a formal statement. What he described was the surgeon actively asking him, a PA, not a physician, for his opinion on what to do next during the procedure, to the point where he felt really uncomfortable being in the room at all. The doctor soon lost all hospital privileges across New Hampshire, and from what the Redditor could gather, his medical license entirely. And that was even the worst of it for New Hampshire. Around the same period, a cardiac surgeon named Dr. Yvonne Barabo was operating at Catholic Medical Center in Manchester and quietly building away Boston Globe's spotlight investigation, but later identified as the worst malpractice record in the nation. Over 25 years at CMC, Barabo accumulated 21 malpractice settlements tied to patient deaths and injury. Context: when a Globe reporter looked at 125 cardiothoracic surgeons in Massachusetts, only 12 had any settlements at all, and not one had more than 2. The reason most patients had no idea, New Hampshire doesn't make malpractice settlements public, unlike Massachusetts, where that information sits openly on the state website. CMC meanwhile was putting Barabo in advertisements and describing him as innovative and talented, even as colleagues were raising alarms to hospital administration and the Catholic Church, and they nowhere. Most families who settled were also required to sign NDAs, legally preventing them from ever speaking publicly. The hospital's reasoning, according to the investigation, seems to come down to money. Cardiothoracic surgery is one of the highest paying procedures a hospital can perform, and Barabo was one of their top revenue generators. He kept operating until he retired in 2019. Vermont, June ferry rides. A Redditor in r/Vermont once rode across Lake Champlain during the start of a storm and described the ferry leaning out what felt like 45-degree angles from the wind, one of the scariest moments of their life, and enough to make them willing to believe basically anything about what can happen on those crossings. In fact, they put like the same vibe you get when something bad happens whenever you're someone or you do something. Like for example, when something just has to get stolen right, visit London. That's just an example. Or the way that you have to subscribe because I'm a pretty cool YouTuber and you're in the middle of this video, so you should subscribe. Anyway, back to Lake Champlain. There's even viewer footage of a rough crossing that circulated on Facebook that makes the same point. Lake Champlain's history backs them both up. The worst on record goes back to September 5th, 1819. A steamboat called the Phoenix left Burlington headed for Plattsburgh, New York, carrying 45 passengers and crew on board. Sometime in the early morning hours, a small flicker of light appeared on the vessel. A man named John Howard was the first to notice it and understand what it meant. The Phoenix was only the second steam driven boat ever to operate on the lake, and the fire spread fast. Within about 5 minutes, 20 people had been lowered into the starboard lifeboat as the boat became clearly doomed. Those who couldn't reach the lifeboat either tried to swim or didn't make it. Historians generally believe the fire started from nothing more dramatic than a candle, which somehow makes it worse. It remains the worst maritime accident in Lake Champlain's history. Then in August 1975, the ferry Valcour was heading from Burlington to Port Kent, New York, when it ran off the rocks about 2 miles from its destination, carrying an 8-foot gash in the hull. There were 115 passengers and 40 vehicles on board at the time. The passengers were evacuated, but the vehicles had to be craned off and transferred to other ferries. The passengers ended up spending 2 nights at UVM dormitories, all waiting to be reunited with their cars, and the Valcour was being towed to shore at 5 knots, racing to the beach itself before the water flooding the hole to finish the job. Lake Champlain tends to look peaceful enough from shore. Massachusetts, Screeching Lady Beach. Someone in r/Massachusetts dropped this in a thread about weird local history. There's a small stone beach in Mapleton, Massachusetts called Screeching Lady Beach, or Lovis Cove if you want the lesser mad version. It sits off Front Street in the Old Town, and it's home to a restaurant called the Barnacle, locally famous for the fact that during the race there's a waves
crash directly over the building while people inside the glass dining room. The beach's name, though, comes from something considerably darker. The story, documented in Robert Ellis Cahill's New England's Ghostly Haunts, traces back to a published account from 1822 and centers on a woman captured by pirates in the late 17th century. She had an emerald ring on a swollen finger that no one ever would get off. Because of it, the pirates kept her alive while pulling everyone else on board. When the pirates drifted near Marblehead and came ashore to pillage, the woman, seeing land for the first time, jumped from the ship and swam ashore. The pirates, finding nothing worth taking in the little fishing village, were already in a foul mood by the time they found her drifting away on the beach. The villagers had fled into the woods at the first sight of pirates, and from there they could hear her screaming. The pirates eventually landed on the obvious solution to the ring problem and cut off her fingers. They took the ring, left her body on the beach, and sailed off. The townspeople came out of the woods, found what was left of her, and buried her where she fell. The 1821 account preserves her last words as she was dying. Oh, mercy, mercy, Lord Jesus Christ, save me. The same account note that her screens are still occasionally heard at the Cove, sometimes every year, sometimes with 2 or 3 years between, always describing the original text as superhuman and superlatively dreadful. The barnacle still packs in during oysters. Apparently it's like Gravy of the Cove, Rhode Island, upstairs bar motion. What would it take for you to actually believe a building was haunted? Eyewitness accounts, multiple witnesses, a paranormal investigation team, because a redditor in r/Rhode Island has all 3, and the most convincing piece of evidence isn't from a person. 125 Cal Street in Providence has gone through a few names over the years, Three Steeple Street, Fat Bellies, but its reputation stayed pretty consistent enough that the Taps guys, the Atlantic Paranormal Society, the team that Ghost Hunters on Sci-Fi would later be built around, came through and investigated the place before the show even existed. The redditor was a bartender there, working a slow Tuesday night with the upstairs bar closed and everything stacked away. When they heard what sounded like furniture being dragged across the concrete floor upstairs, they ran up assuming someone had gotten in, nothing was out of place. They went back down, convinced themselves they misheard, then heard it again and ran back up to find the same thing. The third time it happened, the other bartender heard it too, and mentioned she'd already run up once on her own without saying anything. They went up together with flashlights, checked every room, and this time found one chair had come off the table where it had been stacked. The camera showed nothing. They closed as fast as they could, went on the alarm on the way out, and refused to sat. The air kept returning as upstairs bar motion. The redditor had other incidents too, including nights alone doing deposits upstairs, having watched friends leave the camera through a locked door, only to hear unmistakable voices and laughter from the empty bar below. But what really gives the Reddit's weight is the reply from a former Steeple Street bartender, someone from an earlier era with no connection to the original post, who simply confirmed that they and another employee had heard things moving around in the dining room on more than one occasion with no one else in the building. So yeah, it was probably haunted. Connecticut, dead neighbor's dog and random separate legs. Connecticut is the kind of state where on the surface nothing looks out of the ordinary. Then you find a thread on r/Connecticut asking locals to share the most unsettling experiences, and suddenly that image falls apart. The first story comes from someone who knows the police at their elderly neighbor's door one day doing a wellness check. That was enough of a hint. They realized they hadn't seen the woman walking her dog in days, which probably meant the check wasn't going to end with good news. So they asked the officer if she didn't make it, could he bring the dog over so they could take it to the vet. The cop came back a little while later, confirmed the neighbor had passed, and handed over the dog. That's when they noticed the dog had blood all over its face. The reason it had been eating her. And later the dog confirmed it beyond any doubt. It pooped out her hair. Anyway, the second story is in the same thread and involves someone's coworker returning from a lunch break in New Haven. Walking past the State Street train station, she spotted what looked like a man sleeping under a bush near the entrance, or at least his bare legs sticking out from it. She wasn't sure whether to call someone. He could have been drunk or sick. Come to find out, that was all there was. Just the legs. New Jersey wasn't a dream after all. Have you ever looked back on a childhood memory and couldn't tell whether it actually happened or you just dreamed it? That's the setup for this story from r/South Jersey. Except the answer turned out to be worse than expected. The poster grew up near the United Artists Theater in Turnersville, around Frisno Road in Scotland Run. By their own description, a nice tight neighborhood where people knew each other and looked out for one another. Around 2002, their dad was out at a work event, and it was just them and their mom home for the night. They were at the family computer in the living room, which sat right next to the front door. One of those setups with narrow side light windows running down both sides of the door. At some point, they glanced over and saw a man outside, all black clothing, black baseball cap, face covered, he had both hands covered around his eyes, and pressed to the glass, scanning the inside of the house. Then he looked directly at the kid, made eye contact, realized he'd been seen, and ran. The mom locked everything down and called the neighbors to warn them. For years, the poster carried that as a dream. Just one of those vivid, unsettling childhood things the brain eventually files away as fiction. Then a few months ago, visiting their mom, she brought it up and told them it was completely real. She also told them why she remembered it so clearly. A night or two later, there was a violent robbery in the area where someone had been shot and killed. Police came around asking if anyone noticed anything unusual because the guy had apparently been walking in the neighborhood casing houses. Turns out the boogeyman was real. He just moved on to the next house. New York, the bear ate the pigeon. Now it's New York's turn, and you really expect me to talk about some crime or a breakdown of human decency, right? Well, the truth is that some stories on r/AskNYC are just chaotic in a way that only New York City can produce. November of 1998, Central Park Zoo, freezing cold afternoon. The poster and a couple of friends were there, a few pints deep, watching Gus the polar bear. Now Gus was really famous. He became a bit of a New York celebrity in the 90s after zoo staff noticed him swimming the same repetitive laps for hours, so unusual that he eventually ended up in therapy, making him likely the first polar bear in history to see a behaviorist. The other people there that day were on an elementary school field trip, and one zoo employee called Potsy Pants, dressed in overalls and a plaid shirt with an actual pan on her head and silverware hanging off her that clinked every time she moved. Anyway, a pigeon had somehow gotten into the polar bear enclosure and was stuck in the water, completely unable to get out. The poster's friend Gaz looks at the situation and says flatly, the bear's gonna eat the pigeon. But it doesn't make sense because polar bears don't eat pigeons in the wild, right? Turns out Gaz was right on this one. Gus walked over, swatted the pigeon onto the rock shore, and bit its head clean off. The friend group is simultaneously horrified and completely losing it. See, no crime story, just a celebrity polar bear turning into a cold-blooded bird assassin in front of a class of 3rd graders. Pennsylvania, face to face with a serial killer. Somewhere in a late 1990s Pennsylvania newspaper, a state police detective read a baby's obituary that said the infant was preceded in death by 3 other siblings, 4 dead children, 1 family, and nobody had connected a single dot until that one line in print caught the right side of eyes. To understand how it got there, you need to go back to a house sale in Beaver County, about an hour north of Pittsburgh. The poster on his r/Pittsburgh thread was 11 in 1998 when their family listed the house. They barely remember most of the buyers who came through, except one, a man they still describe 2 decades later as a redheaded hillbilly version of Charles Manson, dirty jeans, stained flannel, wiry hair sticking out under a trucker hat. It was the eyes mostly. That flat, dead look from every Manson photograph. His wife stood only behind him throughout, pale, thin, tattered dress, holding a newborn. The kids wouldn't play, wouldn't speak, just stayed hidden in her dress. The family made an offer, the parents accepted, and everyone moved on. About a year later, driving past the old house, the family stopped to say hello to the old neighbors. The first thing out of the neighbor's mouth was a sarcastic point at the now abandoned property was, thanks for that. The man had been arrested 2 months after moving in for murder and ongoing abuse. The newborn they'd seen in his wife's arms was found dead in her bassinet a month after the previous family left. That obituary is what unraveled everything. None of it ever made local news. Delaware, dildo protest and impregnating friend's wife. At some point in Delaware's history, someone decided that sex toys needed to be illegal. That law was still in the books in the early 1990s when police raided a lesbian boutique in Rehoboth Beach, specifically its back section. The raid was anything but discreet. What followed according to a poster on r/Delaware was a protest outside City Hall that apparently left a strong enough impression to survive the haze. One image in particular saw a very angry woman shaking a very large purple dildo directly at a line of cops trying to keep protesters from storming inside. See all the chief of police and mayor, with knowing the law wasn't being enforced at straight sex shops in Delaware at the time, just a lesbian one. The protest worked, at least partly. Rehoboth police were required to take sensitivity training on how to interact with people who weren't straight. The second story has nothing to do with Delaware, but if it's the well enough that leaving out would be a service. An OP and r/AskReddit shared what their grandfather had once revealed. Back in the 1950s, his longtime best friend couldn't get his wife pregnant. The solution the two men landed on was that their grandfather would spend a week in a remote, phoneless cabin in the Ozarks with a friend's wife to try to make it happen. He did over 20 times by his own count. The friend even drove out one day to check in on things and walked in on them on the kitchen counter. Guess what? It worked. The couple moved out of the state, and the only thing the grandfather ever received from them afterwards was one letter confirming a healthy baby girl had been born. He never knew who her biological father was. He never saw his friend again, but said he often thought about that cabin in the woods. All right, gonna go off script for this one, but you viewer, how would you feel about letting your friend impregnate your wife because you guys can't have a baby? Personally, I find that horrifying. Literally have to break character for this one. I just can't read that story without my opinion. Jesus Christ, there was no other solution, guys. His friend just had to have his wife. Anyway, let's head on to Maryland. Strange 911 text. Most unsettling stories at least have a bad explanation at the end. These two from r/Maryland don't have anything. The first comes from a slumber party, middle or high school, location unspecified. The OP and their friends are all in the same room. When texts are coming in from each other's numbers, so the obvious first thought is that someone's sneaking off the phone to run a prank. They put every phone face up in the center of the room and watch all phones there, nobody moving, but the text kept coming. Whoever was on the other end claimed they could see the girls. They got parents to check outside, nothing. Every person at that slumber party still remembers it happening, and none of them figured out someone hijacked numbers like that. The second one is from Baltimore County, and it's the one that lingers longer. The OP on this one and a friend are driving one night. When the friend's phone gets a text, it says please call 911. The sender appears to be 911. The poster gets reply, and the reply is addressed to 911. They call, feeling a little ridiculous, and the dispatcher explains that it happens sometimes when someone accidentally dials 911 and there's nobody on the line. Except the phone had been sitting in the center console the whole time with no way about anything. They shrugged it off and kept driving. The next day, they found out a kid from high school had been killed pretty close to where they were when the text came in. Nobody had an explanation for that. Virginia, bad mouthing patients. Most people who had surgery or procedure done under anesthesia have wondered at some point what exactly gets in the room once they're out. A commenter on r/Today I learned shared that they were still wide awake in pre-op, waiting for an upper endoscopy when they overheard nurses debating out loud whether they had actually given the patient the right IV medication 15 minutes prior. There was even talk of a possible vial mix-up. The patient, again completely conscious, eventually spoke up and said, "You know, I can hear you." They got a scowl. The doctor walked in and reprimanded the nurses. And from that point on, the staff was icy, giving the anesthesia shot with no warning and no explanations either. The commenter ended with, "I'm positive they said bad shit about me." And honestly, based on what happened to one man in Virginia, that instinct was probably right. In April 2013, a man from Vienna, Virginia, went in for a routine colonoscopy and left his phone recording by accident before going under. He only realized it on the drive home. What he heard on the recording was his anesthesiologist telling staff that after 5 minutes of talking to him in pre-op, she, quote, wanted to punch him in the face. She also mocked one of his medications, which had been prescribed for a genital irritation, and the medical assistant who had touched the area joked about catching an STI from him. The doctor then suggested it was, quote, probably tuberculosis in the penis, which, worth pointing out, has nothing to do with a colonoscopy. She also signed a post-operative note claiming he had hemorrhoids despite finding none. The rest injury awarded him a total of $500,000, $100K for defamation, 200 for malpractice, and another 200 in punitive damages. She no longer works at the practice, all because she couldn't shut up and her patient forgot to stop the recording. West Virginia, like a horror film. Have you ever pulled into a place and immediately felt like you weren't supposed to be there? HR technician and electrician posted exactly that kind of experience on r/West Virginia. He spent years in jobs in West Virginia. The kind of work that takes you to places most people never see. On one particular assignment, he was sent to service a microwave relay facility in the southern part of the state. Getting there meant driving almost 50 miles down a narrow dirt and gravel road, cut to the side of a cliff above a creek winding out of a holler. And right before the service rode up a mountain, there was a town. Not a ghost town exactly. So the houses showed signs of people actually living in them. Even if nature was actively working to take back the rest. There was a garage, a gas station, a store, a cafe, a church, and a small community building. But when they pulled in, people came out of their houses to just watch them. They stopped at the gas station, one's a cafe, where one was cooking on a regular household stove. The menu was a chalkboard with exactly 3 options: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They both ordered breakfast, and whatever she decided they needed, which supposed to was actually great. She made one comment about them being from the quote big city Morgantown, and that was about the extent of the conversation directed at them. When she spoke with the other people in there, she was, in his words, almost completely unintelligible. They finished the job, came back down the mountain, and as they drove out, every single person came back outside to watch them leave, staring the whole way. North Carolina actually saw Mothman. Most people claim to have seen Mothman either living in West Virginia, where the legend was born, or are immediately written off his pranks. So many now deleted Reddit accounts of their experience growing up in rural Johnson County. The detail was hard to dismiss. They grew up in a rural country with spaced out houses, a neighborhood with horses, pigs, goats, ducks, and cows all on a small farm, and a giant cornfield sitting right across from their yard. Their bedroom faced the woods, and for a stretch of time that clearly left a mark. They kept hearing tapping on the window at night. Every time they go check the next day and find nothing. One night while playing their Game Boy, the tapping just wouldn't stop, and they described it in this eerie, instinctive feeling that made them pull a blanket over their head and just wait it out. Eventually, the tapping did stop. Then came a long scratching sound dragged across the window. They screamed for their family, but nobody found anything except tracks right outside the window. About a week later, it started again. This time they got up and looked directly out the window. What was staring back at them was standing over 7 feet tall. saw a large fuzzy black silhouette with two softball-sized glowing red eyes. The house was elevated off the ground, which means whatever this was enormous. They fainted on the spot and woke up to mother frantically trying to get a response out of them. Took several minutes before they could even stop crying enough to speak. Then, just days after the sighting, lightning struck the pond in their backyard and killed everything in it, which, when you look into the Mothman lore, starts to feel less a coincidence. Legend has always been tied to omens and disasters that follow shortly after. South Carolina, the Grayman folklore still lingers. What would you do if a man with no legs appeared on the beach and told you to leave? Down in South Carolina's low country, that's apparently not a hypothetical. Holly's Island has a long-running legend about a figure known as the Grayman. A ghost who shows up on the shoreline specifically before major hurricanes and warns whoever crosses his path to get out. The story behind who he is traces back to 1822 when a young man was riding from Charleston to reunite with his fiancée and steered his horse through the main marshland, separating Holly's Island from the mainland. He got caught in quicksand and died. His fiancée, devastated, kept walking the beach until she encountered his gray figure standing in the mist. And before vanishing, he told her only that she needed to flee. She did. Her family left to take her to a doctor, and while they were gone, a hurricane leveled the coast, destroying every single home except theirs. That's the origin story. But what keeps people talking about it is that the sightings didn't stay in 1822. Just after Hurricane Hugo, a couple named Jim and Clara Moore were interviewed for unsolved mysteries about seeing the Grayman wave at them from the beach before the storm and simply vanished. Their house survived Hugo untouched, while the homes around them were destroyed. He's usually described as well dressed, wearing a long gray coat, and sometimes appearing with no legs at all. Worth knowing, Georgetown County, which covers a stretch of coast, has actually been declared the most haunted place in the South. Locals still paint porch ceilings Ames blue to ward off spirits and hang bottles and dead trees at night to trap them. Whether you believe it or not, the people who claim they saw him and left anyway tend to come back to houses still standing. Georgia, body belongs to the state if incubating. If you watch The Handmaid's Tale and thought it was too extreme to ever reflect real life, a thread on r/medicine from last year might change your mind. A commenter shared that when they were a med student, they witnessed something so disturbing it left them without an advance directive to this day. The reason they hadn't filed one, their words, body belongs to the state if it's incubating. They were pregnant themselves at the time, as they couldn't stop envisioning the state taking their corpse. They also pointed out something most people don't know, that in Texas, a law stating that a woman's advance directive can be ignored if she's pregnant has remained on the books since well before this case, and still remains today. The case that brought all this back into conversation involves Adriana Smith, a 30-year-old registered nurse and mother from Metro Atlanta. In early February, she was nearly 9 weeks pregnant when she began experiencing intense headaches. She went to Northside Hospital, was given medicine, and sent home. Shortly after, she was declared brain dead, and that's where George's Harvey Law created a situation. She went to Northside Hospital, was given medicine, and sent home. Shortly after, she was declared brain dead, and that's where George's Harvey Law created a situation her family had no way to prepare for because Adriana was brain dead and therefore no longer considered personally at risk. Her medical team was legally required to keep her on life support until the fetus reached viability. The family was told they had no legal options. On June 13, 2025, her baby boy Chance was delivered via emergency C-section weighing under 2 pounds. 4 days later, Adriana was removed from life support and finally died. Florida, psych wars overrun by rats, misery, and death. Now that we've reached Florida, I know you're probably expecting a story involving alligators or a headline that starts with a Florida man did this, but no, that's not it. An investigative reporter from the Tampa Bay Times once did an AMA on Reddit, and the things he described in that thread are not easy to forget. Anthony Cormier and his team have spent about a year investigating what are not easy to forget. Anthony Cormier and his team have spent about a year investigating what happens to Florida state psychiatric hospitals after the state quietly cut $100 million from their budget. Cut $100 million from their budget. What they found is that patients were eating out of the trash. Rodents were crawling across beds. People were swallowing razor blades, and an orderly got stabbed in the face. So they knew about all this, but they kept cutting. When the team requested surveillance footage, Florida said no. They got the tapes anyway through a local prosecutor's office. In the AMA, Cormier described what was on them. A patient being stomped in the head while nobody intervened, and orderly throwing someone into a wall hard enough that a bystander grabbed his own head and screamed. And a third clip where 2 patients beat a man to death. The database they built by hand documents over 1,000 incidents across 5 years, and that's lowballing it. Because Florida didn't even track all the fights, escapes, and injury. One commenter in the thread, a former patient themselves, confirmed the police was constant. They personally witnessed a patient bite a staff member's ear off. Meanwhile, a mother in Florida was still being denied information about her son's death. The autopsy had found 10 times the therapeutic level of Thorazine in the system, and the hospital was citing HEPA. The serious part of this was that when Redditors asked if this was a Florida problem, his answer was no. Hey guys, Vertical Tub here. I just want to let you guys know that if you enjoy hearing me talk about Reddit stories, then you might like me being directly off Reddit over on my second channel. I have an entire series dedicated to just going over the weirdest subreddits you can find. Some are kind of basic, r/confessions, r/insane parents, r/am I the devil. Hours and hours worth of content of me just reacting to stories. Well, I read them first, react to them with my chat, we give our opinions, we laugh, we get angry. So in case that's more what you like, you go visit my second channel named Tubbington. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for this video. If you think I explain these stories pretty well, if you like my voice, make sure to like. If you think I earned a subscription, please subscribe. I know my face wasn't in the majority of this video. In case you're wondering why, well, there are 2 reasons. Maybe you don't care. Maybe you didn't care that my face wasn't in this video. I don't know. But it is extremely hot in Los Angeles. Like this light, like me recording this right now is so annoying. I have my ceiling fan on. It's so hot. And also the main reason is I was sick. If I sound easily like stories 1 through 25, I was genuinely like peak sickness. But yeah, I'm gonna keep using Facecam. Obviously, I love using Facecam. And I think you guys like it too. But yeah, that's just like a one video thing. With that being said, go to my second channel. If you want to see more of my personality, and don't forget to buy yourself a blue bear over at idomexist.org, designed by me. With that being said, follow me on Instagram, I'm Stuff, and I'll see you guys next time I upload.
It's just 1 day away. Oh wow. Can't believe it, guys. Wow. Cursed enough.
Down to 500.
LARPing, aka live action role playing. It used to mean taking on a character role and playing it, whether that be an elf or a king. But today LARPing has lost all meaning. You mispronounce an anime character's name on the internet and you're gonna have at the very least 78 people calling you a LARPer. Oh, you used Hyde to configure Hyperland instead of manually configuring it for 4 hours and 48 minutes? Oh my god, holy LARP. LARPers are present in every facet of life. Most of the time, a LARPer will fall into one of the 2 main types of LARPing. For example, there's LARPing for financial benefit. You see this with the guys who rent out a Urus and then a penthouse on Airbnb to make a bunch of videos selling people on the idea of being rich. When in reality, all they have to their name is a rubber band and some pocket money. These guys LARP being successful in the hopes that they will one day become successful by faking it. It is the very definition of faking it until you make it. The other type of LARPing is the worst kind of LARP. LARPing for social approval. Think performative male. Think those people who fake having ADHD and autism and Tourette's on TikTok. Think those guys who think Kali Linux is the best Linux distribution ever made. Anyways, enough of the philosophy lesson. I made a Linux distribution made for LARPers by a LARPer. Introducing Linux LARP. With Linux LARP, all the features a LARPer needs come built in by default. You have a serial experimental Lane wallpaper as the default wallpaper, and now you don't need to understand the plot of Lane to LARP it. You just need the cool girl and the terminal. That's all you need. And the terminal, well, it's not even the terminal. Every key you press spews out this sort of hacker output. Stuff like mounting the rootkit into the operating system and central controlling unit of the motherboard of the corporated mainframe server rack. Or routing dildo payload through the cloud quantum computer network connected to the relay server Obelisk. Or one of my favorites, jacking into Jackie from Cyberpunk 2077 and relaying it through the proxy module in LARPy package manager. The best part about this terminal, well, funny you should ask, because this terminal, it actually reads your mind and it determines exactly what you want to hack and automatically hacks it for you when you start typing. I mean, this is no exaggeration. This is the most powerful hacking tool ever made. Also, the default browser is Google Chrome. This is because Google Chrome is the best browser for privacy and it is the browser of choice for expert hackers. Everybody knows this. So if you want to install the best Linux distro for hacking ever made, there's a GitHub link in the description so you can try it out for yourself. But quickly, with how powerful this is for hacking, I'm not going to be surprised if it gets taken down soon. There's both an ISO file and the source code if you want to modify anything or build it from source yourself. Now, how did I make this little shitty Debian-based Linux distro? Well, it's actually kind of easy. Granted, you don't make any custom packages like I did. Like, it could literally be as simple as choosing all the packages you want from like the list of apps, then choosing a default wallpaper if you even want that, and then changing the fast fetch output to your distro logo and distro name. Now, just to be clear, I made a live install rather than an actual like real distro with its own installer and its own fucking package manager and its own fucking maintenance team and whatnot. I just felt like I had to say that before somebody comments, holy lord, I'm not a lord, I'm not. So I'm just going to be showing my journey of how I made this minimal live distro, which doesn't have any persistence by default because I don't have any experience making a full real like non-meme distro yet. If there's demand, I may look into learning that and then making a video on that for all you beautiful people. So anyways, this is the journey that I went through to make the next one. First, I made a Debian virtual machine and immediately looked up multiple tutorials on how to make your own distro because I've never done this before. Thank you, Gary Newell, for your tutorial. It helped me a lot. I then looked through a bunch of serial experiments lane wallpapers and saved the one I wanted as a default wallpaper. I chose a Debian-based install with XFCE for the distro because Kali Linux is a Debian-based distro, and XFCE is a default desktop environment with Kali. The reason for this is because I feel as if Kali Linux is the most LARP to Linux distro ever, and a lot of people think Kali is like the end-all, be-all of hacking, when in reality, you'll never end up using like 75% of the tools that it comes pre-packaged with, and a lot of the tools are actually completely outdated and shit today. Even on the newer versions of Kali, too, this still persists. If you're like an actual, real, honest-to-God penetration tester, I would say that's like the only scenario that it makes sense to actually unironically use Kali. But either way, I still think it's way better to just do a minimal Debian install and install all the tools you need as you go instead of using Kali Linux. Anyways, I installed all these packages with apps since the tutorial said that I'll need all of them, and who the hell would I be to question the wise, godly words of Gary Newell? Let me open this beer. So anyways, I wanted to make custom packages for this distro because I wanted the terminal to run a Python script that is just this like hacker type stuff that is inspired from that one hacker typer site. I think it's literally just called hackertyper.org. I also wanted it made in a way that it cannot be escaped with Control C, which is like the standard way to import Python script. The way to escape the script and access a normal terminal will be a hard-coded secret escape sequence, which is just pressing escape 5 times. So this is where I had to veer off of Gary Newell's tutorial because he didn't cover making this. So I just kind of winged it with my Python experience, and every time I didn't know how to do anything or got stuck, I just looked up how to fix it. It's actually insane to me how many people out there just don't know that this is like an option that you can do. Like you can literally just look up anything. The internet is full of so much free information to the point that you can basically achieve and learn quite literally anything with enough persistence and enough effort and enough research. Like you don't need schooling, you don't need classes, you don't need courses, you don't need shit. All you need is your fingers and a keyboard and a curiosity. Anyways, from my root directory of Linux-LARP, I made a package directory and then just followed the standard file system for structuring that I found online. I then had to make the metadata for the custom package, so I just looked up a template and changed the name and the depends that I needed. I then got to work on the actual script. I looked into a terminal emulator template, but I kind of just realized like very early on that I could just make this a Python script that runs on top of the normal bash terminal. So all I needed to do was make a script that achieves like this style of output instead of actually making a full terminal emulator, which would be really annoying. After a while, I got it assembled, but I made a lot of adjustments to the script because at first it was outputting way too fast, then way too slow, so I had to fix all the rates a bunch of times. Also, the warning message event I implemented was green, and I wanted it to be red, but then I ran into an issue where the entire output would stay red once one warning message is displayed. So I had to reset it to green with this code, and just looking at it, I'm realizing I don't even need this reset to green shit. I could have just used green instead. Also, after I fixed the color thing, it started printing a new line every time when like the events was outputted. So I had to fix that because it kind of didn't look good. And look at that, it looks pretty good now. I was gonna add more events and fix this entire issue where there could be like duplicate events displayed in the output, but then I realized I've already been doing this for hours and I just didn't care enough for a fucking joke distro that literally nobody's ever gonna use. Also, just a disclaimer, I did not code this all in Nano. I copy and pasted it from something else because it is actually cancer to code strictly in Nano if you're not just like making little fixes. And the script was probably the most time-consuming part of this entire process. And after the actual script was made, I made an application, then configured it to auto start upon boot or upon login start. Then for the post-install script, you guessed it, I immediately looked up a template. I then looked up how to change the default wallpaper for a Linux distro that you're creating. I think there's multiple ways to do this, but the method I chose is just making a custom package that uses XML to set the wallpaper to the image I put inside of user share backgrounds in Linux-LARP. After I actually built the ISO, I ran into an issue where the wallpaper wouldn't work, and it was because of this line being configured to monitor virtual 1 in my XML config. I was using QEMU to test the ISO, and it probably called the display something like monitor default or monitor VGA1. So instead of figuring out what the name for this was and fixing it in a static config in a way to where it's only going to work for my specific setup, I ended up making a separate wallpaper script that basically like forces the wallpaper to be set after the user logs in with an auto start script. This way, it doesn't matter what display you're running or what the static config is, it's always going to work no matter what. I then made the ASCII logo so it shows up when you fast fetch, and it looks kind of bad, but I never claimed to be a goddamn artist, and I really suck with ASCII banners and ASCII art or anything when it comes to fucking doing anything with that. I suck at it. So this little basic 2 L's will have to do. It's supposed to be a big L which stands for Linux and a small L which is supposed to be LARP. So LL Linux LARP, you get. I then made a very simple wrapper that calls the LL logo.txt that I just made and prints it, and then I made some package metadata and that was it. At first it wouldn't display and the OS information was Debian instead of Linux LARP, and that is because I had both fastfetch and neofetch in the depends inside of the metadata. Neofetch is debugged and no one really uses that anymore, and having it here just broke everything for some reason. I don't know why, but I got rid of it and it worked. And then I didn't know the logo appeared above everything instead of like to the left like it's supposed to, and I don't know why printing it and making a new line I didn't think of this when I was actually making the wrapper. I kind of just was like, oh, it's not working how I wanted to, what the fuck? So I changed the wrapper from just printing and adding the logo then making a new line to making fastfetch actually render the logo itself, which was honestly even simpler to do than what I was originally trying to do. Then I made an extremely simple hacker style HTML file, which is like the home screen when you open your browser. I did this because Kali Linux does something like this when you open up your browser in Kali. So I just clobbered together this very shit HTML page with all the custom packages done. All I had to do now was make a default package list and a hook to install Google Chrome as a default browser instead of Firefox. I really had to jump through like a lot of hoops here and waste a lot of time because if I just used Firefox, it would have been as simple as just adding a single line that says Firefox in the package list. But Chrome isn't on app, so I had to make this entire hook that installs Google Chrome so it could be the default browser. After all of that, all I had to do was build the ISO file. And at first I ran into some issues because some packages had no installation candidates, so then the ISO wouldn't be generated. But after just removing them, it built fine and I was done. This was not actually as hard as I thought it was going to be. It was just very time consuming. I mean, this was the time when I started and this was the time when I finished. But all in all, it was pretty fun. And here's my live reaction on my first like full run through and test of this. I had a lot of fun making this. If you want to try out Linux LARP for yourself and get the LARPing harder than you've ever LARPed before, the GitHub is in the description. Also, if anyone wants to fork it and take it further, go right on ahead. This was just a one-off joke to me. But I feel like this joke can be taken way further if somebody wants to actually take up the mantle and crown of maintaining Linux LARP. If you want me to make an actual in-depth tutorial of how I made this instead of just skimming over everything in a very like fast manner, let me know. I can show the process in a slower and more in-depth way. I just kind of skimmed over it for the sake of keeping the video entertaining for people who don't really care as much about all the web work that went into all of this. Thank you for watching. Thank you for LARPing. Thank you to our channel members who are scrolling on screen now and who make the continuation of this content possible. You guys are the shining beam in my life. Become a channel member if you want to also become a shining beam in my life, and visit the description to see other ways to support the channel. Like the video, comment the video, like the video, fucking subscribe to the video. Until next LARP, I'll see you. Thank you.
I want to run away to the world of midnight. Hello everyone, this is your Daily Dose of Internet. This couple were parasailing and didn't realize just how much danger they were in.
It's gonna be. Oh my god! Get the shark! Get the shark from camera! Wait, we're gonna water! Wait, oh my god! He's in! Oh my god! Oh, I'm out of here!
person on the boat finally realized and sped away before the shark could get to them.
Oh my god.
Love it. What are you doing? I catch this? You gonna pick it up? It's what? I got you the hat. Easy. Easy. Pick up. Okay. Yeah!
Cole Douglas Champagne.
Champagne.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mackenzie Caitlin Louise Chapman.
Think you're gonna be able to lift that by yourself?
What did he do to the seagull to make them so mad?
Seagull! After me!
You can see the exact moment he realized his mistake when he tried wasabi for the first time.
Wasabi good! I don't even taste my water. Can somebody?
Oh, my chair wrapped.
And another one.
Oh my god, 2 of them wrapped.
This is why golf should be played outside.
Fucking idiot.
He's gonna be dragging that stick in for a while.
Just got a new torch. Quite happy with it, to be fair.
Boom.
I think our cat got embarrassed.
The capital of Egypt is. The capital of Egypt is.
So is this what it's like to play golf in Australia?
He's gonna staunt you. He doesn't give a go. Come on. Holy fucking Jurassic Park.
My dog's weirded out. Hey, my dog knows something ain't right, man. You okay?
This guy challenged a kid from across the street to a game of tic-tac-toe.
Lobo right there.
Nah, he's on that.
Here you go.
Oh,
Bro.
damn. Straight milk. Damn.
This octopus was ready for his close-up.
Where is my super suit? Mommy, where is my super suit? He needs to know.
He had to improvise when he forgot to put pepperoni on the pizza.
Something super cool to show you guys. Look at all these black kites in the sky. They pick up flaming sticks, drop them somewhere, so all their prey, all their food comes running out. Little reptiles, little mammals, and then these guys swoop down and get it. And that's exactly what they've done. They're lighting fires around the park. So as you can imagine, all the little animals are going to be running out this way. These guys, bang, bang, bang.
It is pouring rain about 500 feet in front of me. Keep watching, keep watching. This happens all the time here. And you'll see it hit us here right now.
Calypso has discovered the mirror in our barn, in the new barn, in the indoor. He's a little bit mortified. It's okay.
We have this little hole, this little turf in our yard. Never knew what it was for. Lived in our house for 2 years. And then today we just opened it up. Open it up. Yeah, what is that? It's like a cooler.
This guy made a really cool knife.
Does this make sense to anybody? Like, do you would knowing the angle that you're lifting your knife when cutting things, or when you're like just knowing the angle of like, the turn when you're cutting things, does that make any sense? Would that be helpful? Nope.
My favorite clip this week was a super old video I found of two guys having a saxophone battle in New York City.
Alright, get out of my sunflowers and quit eating them. What are you doing? Wow.
He looks so proud of his creation.
Honey, go ahead and demonstrate what you and the girls made during my yoga class.
Yes.
This hotel in Belgium has an amazing view.
She was joking.
You know that beautiful beach saying, Sasu sa, and Erf ult.
The Norwegian parliament sent their support to their soccer team by performing the Viking row.
Okay, so remember there's this nest on the ground. Well, Evan is working over here right now, and so this mama bird is just really trying to get attention and get us away from her eggs.
Fair enough.
So in a minute she's gonna act hurt. There she is. Look, look. She's just like, but when I get close, are you okay?
Attack.
Are you hurt? Oh.
I've never seen Baze being played on a Game Boy before.
Interesting.
Oh. Oh, hi.
Yo.
Hi.
Yo.
Are y'all waiting on something, or?
How is he so casual about this?
Look,
nice.
$20.
Nope.
Oh no.
This bee's got some really long legs. One of my subscribers sent me this impressive display of basketball skill.
Alright, this guy's gonna get dive bombed. This is gonna happen.
Impressive display of basketball skill.
Or... Man.
Alright, this guy's gonna get dive bombed. This is gonna happen. One video, hold on. Yeah. Go on, what are you gonna do, Bird? Come on, there you go. Attack!
A heat wave in Wales triggered an algal bloom, which caused these orange waves on the beach.
Okay.
Since when could birds talk?
What you doing? I'm trying to get you to make the chicken noise. Okay, yes, you good boy. You say the chicken. Pok, 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 pok. Come on, pok, pok. No pok, poks today.
Guys, look, I just found a triple peanut. It's got 3 pods inside of it. That's pretty cool. I've never seen anything like that before.
This teacher uses this mixture of cornstarch and water to teach preschoolers how to be gentle.
And then you put it in your hand, and now I have a ball. But I'm not being very gentle with my ball, so that's why it's staying together. See, my ball is still together in my hand when I'm not being gentle. And then when I am gentle, it can sink through my hand.
Okay.
And that's our gentle project.
Sorry, this is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. Yeah, man, come here, man. Oh my god, he's coming. Hello, man. Oh, man.
This dog is a pretty terrible listener.
I got you a sucker.
No, is this one gonna be short enough?
I'm talking to you.
Oh, this one's too short too.
Where are you going?
Shoot.
No. No.
How did he even get up there?
Yes.
This guy was helping to clean up the Knicks parade when this happened.
Guys, this little cactus has a hat. Look at this thing. Look at his hat!
This is what ambulances look like in Venice.
So this is a prominent vein carrying blood flow back to the heart, and this will be a perfect example of how the valves work in the vein. There are valves throughout the vein that help prevent blood backflow. So if you occlude distal on the vein, run your finger up, the vein collapses, and then when you let your finger go, the blood flow returns.
Can anyone tell me why the sky looks like this?
I was just making some cheesy pasta, and look at that wee guy there. He's just stood up on his hind legs and started looking at me.
At first, I thought there was 5 people in the car.
Yes.
Just crashed my motorcycle. Lady pulled over. They gave me a ice cream. So it's pretty much worth it.
I'm at the dentist, just moved to Texas, but look at what my dentist is wearing.
She wanted to see what her cat would do if she didn't let her touch her legs. This guy is a human ragdoll.
Ну что, бейсболочку одеваем, аккуратно.
That is the end of this video. Hope I made your day just a little better, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Later.
Fearing that something bad is going to happen to you has a very high likelihood of happening to you. You're not destined for something bad to happen to you. It's actually way worse than that. You're not destined to be screwed. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So a lot of times we're afraid of stuff happening. We're like, oh my God, what if this happens? And the reason that I'm afraid is because it's happened to me before. It could happen to me again. And then what if it does happen to me again? How do I let go of that fear if the thing that I'm afraid of happens and happens again and keeps happening? So whether it happens again or not actually depends on you. And the way that you're living your life is making it happen, which I know sounds like so great example of this. Abuse as a child predisposes you to spousal abuse later in life. If I'm a kid who gets abused by my parents, I'm terrified of abuse. I don't want to be abused. I never want to be abused again. And I'm afraid that people who love me will hurt me. This is my fear that I'm trying to avoid. What do we see the statistics show? I'm more likely to be hurt by those I love.
Rogue.
Fearing that something bad is going to happen that I'm trying to avoid. What do we see the statistics show? I'm more likely to be hurt by those I love. The way that I respond to that fear, the way that I adapt to that fear is exactly what makes me vulnerable to the outcome.
20 years of gaming public, but it's a net, so I will not watch.
Now, one person who frequently collabs with this channel without them knowing it is Clavicular. I already talked about his botched surgeries. I also talked about the fact as well that he literally OD'd on stream. And on that stream, he was
yeah, the VPN situation is insane. I have to enable it again. Fuck my life. I really didn't want to. No. Why do you keep defaulting to a server that doesn't work? Why? God damn it. Too quick. Just wait the Clavicular part to end, and then I go back to normal.
When Fantana released his interview with Olivia Rodrigo. It was this like massive artist from the US, and a new album just released, and it was the highest first week sales of the entire year. And because the interview was with such a high-profile artist, it brought a lot of Fantana haters, especially the worst of all, Taylor Swift fans. And the first thing they did is try to bring back every single controversy he's been through to try and bury him. Now, one of these controversies, it's a cope, so we can call it that. One of them was his review of one of Halsey's albums, which was called The Great Impersonator. He gave this a 1 out of 10.
And making songs that sounded absolutely nothing like the artist that supposedly inspired them. Yeah, this album was a really tough listen, and frankly, in some pockets, which is why I'm feeling a light to decent one.
Now, I really don't understand why you'd be so annoyed if YouTube Music Critic gave you album 1. The only exception is when he gave Red Light from Blade 1.
This album is just a barren wasteland to me, as far as trying to find something of entertainment value. I'm feeling a light to
decent.
To decent one on the
Oh, it's so bitter! So bitter! How bad is Red Light actually? I actually need to remind myself how good Red Light is. Hang on, let me check. Okay, I just spent way too long listening to the entire album right now. Okay, right, I get it. A lot of it is, you know, kind of the music, you use Discord a lot, you wear like Femboy Fly High Socks, I get it, but it's got the K and then fucking Obedient on it. And you gave that a 1, man! Okay, porn music. Now, again, okay, back on topic. He gave the Halsey album a 1 out of 10, and Halsey fans immediately said he only did this because he's misogynistic and hates women. They often bring up one of his critiques there in the review. Apparently, a lot of songs are about having main character syndrome, and they say that this is a pretty insensitive critique. Not because at the time, Halsey was apparently suffering cancer. So after all of this was being relayed on Twitter, of course it was, Anthony quote tweeted a post where someone said that they can't understand why there's still discourse going around the review. And then he basically said, which was definitely like a match over powder cake, they're more interested in his review than the actual album itself. And then this then activated sleeper agent Halsey, basically trying to outshine him, saying that her least performed song would be more memorable than anything Fantano has ever done. Basically saying his reviews are whiny, edgy, and I wish she has an excuse, but she was going through chemo. She also said that it was basically just a clickbait YouTuber using his facade as like a pro critic, and then ironically saying that he's a raised by 4chan edgelord. This immediately reminded me of a very old interview Fantano did where he interviewed JPEG Mafia, and he immediately went off using basically the exact same verbiage. You really bad me going, okay, so for every sheltered cracker on 4chan was comparing me to MC Ryan. Also, in the comment section, pretty much every single comment is just saying that he is MC Ryan. Now, I did mention that Halsey was apparently battling cancer at the time, and she was more open about this as well, saying that she was dealing with serious health issues, and she was turning, you know, what she was going through basically into an album about it. And the only thing Fantano did is respond with an old tweet from Halsey where she said, "Can the basement that they run Pitchfork out of just collapse already?" Now, for context here, if you didn't know, this tweet was posted back in 2020, just after Pitchfork reviewed her album Manic, and then gave it a 6.5 out of 10. She didn't really like that very much and made that tweet, but then people quickly told her, "Hey, the Pitchfork offices, that's where the World Trade Center was." So the Pitchfork offices are in the exact same building that replaced the Twin Towers after they collapsed during 9/11. Which afterwards she very quickly deleted the tweet. Now, Fantano did actually end up responding in an interview in Variety. He basically said the criticisms and the problems he had with the album were like nothing to do with her real life pain and suffering that Halsey endured. And he was only solely talking about the music itself. He also said that the negative review had nothing to do with Halsey being a woman. And there are, you know, countless women whose projects that he's like championed over the years. Obviously, when Halsey was saying that he was like kind of edgelord and stuff, he basically said that he found like early 2010s internet edgy humor funny, but he never said something as edgy as, you know, an accidental 9/11 joke at Pitchfork's expense. So I think Fantano was very commendable with that. Fucking red light one there. Gotta stick with that one for a bit. Wait, actually, before I move on. What did you give it? What did you give one of the best albums ever made?
Each song being as dodgy as it is structurally, it leaves some of the tracks feeling very fleeting. Still, I'm feeling a strong 6 to like 7.
6-7. So, things are happening with Instagram. I've talked about it before, but now it's gone so much worse. So I talked about the 3 main short form platforms, right? So you've got YouTube Shorts, and this is the most unfunny by far. It is so filtered. It's basically the most monitored short form platform. So there's basically no creativity apart from like, you know, Mr. Beast Shorts, like the most widely applicable normie content imaginable. And then it's just, you know, people reloading scenes from films that have narration over them. And then you've got TikTok, which is slightly less monitored, but it's basically the same thing. And then you have Instagram Reels. There is nearly no moderation on Instagram Reels. Instagram Reels users are devious. So the first one we've got here, the same kind of stuff entirely. So you know, I don't even know what the comment section was there. So obviously you've got loads of people that are just basing it, like they want people to comment for engagement. But these comment sections, right? Yeah, okay. What the fuck? Right, cannot show that one. Right, here's you as a woman. Nice. I can't show any of these. I literally cannot show any of these. I cannot show any of these. Dude, blur the entire thing. I cannot show a single one of those. It's like I can pick and choose. Let's see how bad this one is. So my breakfast the other day. I mean, that was wholesome though. That's one of the reasons why you should be allowed to add things to your gallery. My dinner the other day, rate my tractor, rate my burger. It's all pretty. Right, anyway, keep looking at the normal lights. What's that? Okay.
Instagram photo comments finally. I know I've said this before, but we're about to get the most unfunny They're always going to be celebrities.
Me too. I sucks. Goddamn. Like I've never seen left being used. It's just actually anti-funny. What happened? I can't show any of these. Reminder: posting porn does not make you funny. Just the profile picture. Actually, so fitting. Okay, cannot show the bottom image. That was like Lightning McQueen being. Oh my god! What the fuck? And to wrap things up, a wholesome story. So you may know of a certain very famous and long-time streamer, DSP or Darkside Phil, and he started doing what a lot of people have been doing, opening Pokemon cards. Now I know Pokemon cards have like a pretty sordid history, you know, especially with scalpers just ruining everything for everybody to make profit. But DSP has found a way to beat the scalpers and make money while keeping the cards. So there was this post going around saying that he's charging his fans $100 to $250 to open a pack of Pokemon cards, and he keeps the cards. You get nothing. You're basically paying money just to watch him open them, and he keeps them anyway. So in the clip, he's showing the new packs that he's got, saying that they're premium packs with cards that could cost up to $1,000.
That these cards are worth a lot of money. Each one of these packs, no exaggeration, is worth $15 to $20 each. Okay, if you get a hit in one of these packs, you can get thousands of dollars. No kidding. Both of these sets have cards that are hundreds to thousands of dollars. There's an Umbreon in this one that's worth over $1,000. I think there's cards in this one worth $500,000.
It might be a little confusing to understand the workings of DSP. He is again an absolute enigma mastermind. He's developed with Socrates and Hippocrates. Now he says that since they are premium packs, that we, he says like me and you, like, right? We will only open the pack when he gets a $100 donation or $250. Even though he's using the word we, it basically just means that he's asking his viewers to give him money, so he opens the pack and then he keeps any kind of profit he made off the cards just for himself. Which again, absolute genius. Why didn't I think of that?
Wrong behavior. A bunch of videos that I will never watch is just there collecting dust. Just stay there.
Look at this graph. Every time I do it, it doesn't make me laugh. So currently you're looking at a United States graph that is showing the progression of age verification throughout the country. This is not an epidemic anymore. It is a pandemic. It is not just in the United States. It is spreading worldwide. But I just want to talk about the US real quick because look at this graph. Full credit to BP.net for making this. But as you can see, the red states over here have an active law enforced, meaning the states have passed a law and it is currently active. The orange states have enacted a law, so it's already been passed. It's just currently not effective. So it'll essentially be active in a way right? California, here, New York. The yellow currently have bills pending that are currently being discussed in Congress and are trying to be passed, right? Only one state in the US so far has a tried and failed age verification law, which is Colorado. And there's only a handful of states over here that have no legislation yet, right? But remember, this is spreading rapidly throughout the world, not just in the United States. And I'll be totally honest with you guys, I'm kind of running out of ideas on how exactly to be talking about this whole thing, but I still want to keep talking about it because the second that we all let our foot off the gas, then this whole
fiasco.
This whole thing is just getting worse, right? So ID verification, age verification, ID, whatever you want to call it. As you guys can see, it is spreading worldwide. There are currently tons of graphs out there that show how it is spreading throughout the world. And a lot of these aren't even up to date. So for example, you can see a few countries over here. US has it in many states. The UK has it, Australia, EU in general, Italy, stuff like that. And it is talking about ID verification, adult content, social media, or VPN. I want to give a little bit of context here. So the United States does have VPN bans that are currently in discussion. I know Utah is really trying to get some VPN bans going right now. And there are plenty of countries around the world that actually do have active VPN bans. In terms of social media, the United States does have it in some states, but there are plenty of countries right now that are trying to ban social media across their entire country for ages under 16, 15, or whatnot. This is not something that is going to go away if we don't talk about it. This is something that we need to be talking about actively all the time. But like I said, I don't want it to be a thing where I'm like forcing out video topics or something. So I wasn't going to do some sort of thing where I go hunt for some obscure bill and act like it's the end of the world or whatever. I just want to give it to you guys straight like how I always do. I just want to talk about this issue because it is just getting worse and worse. And it just seems like people are caring less and less of time. The world's leaders right now are actively laughing in our faces by passing these laws over and over again that violate violate our privacy. And they're even making cheeky little tweets like this, like the French president did, where he said, thanks for joining the movement to Britain when they banned social media from 16. Now remember that this was actually what I believe to be one of the reasons that Keir Starmer actually got forced out of office, right? Keir Starmer is a former UK prime minister, and he just recently resigned, and it was because he was getting a lot of hate from his own party and from everybody around the world, right? Now I understand that maybe the main reason he was forced out was because of some of his policies related to government or whatever, but again, Keir Starmer is one of the most hated people in the world in terms of online privacy, so I'm going to assume that played a part in his removal as well. What we need to go ahead and do is remove people from office that are going ahead and presenting ID age verification bills. Here's someone that I want to talk about today, Jim Banks from Indiana, who has created a nationwide age verification bill. He's one of those people who's trying to do the whole it's for the kids thing. So basically what he wants to do is have age verification for adult websites. So that's how it always starts, right? And now he wants to make it nationwide. Already is active in certain states. As you can see over here, it's a lot more than certain states. Actually, it's most of the states in the United States. But he wants to make an umbrella ban. He wants to make it for the entire country. And this is something that we cannot allow to happen because this is exactly how the social media bans became nationwide in countries like the UK and Australia. We cannot allow this guy to do this, and we should be removing these people from office for even presenting these laws, because even the presentation of these laws allow the government to be thinking, maybe we actually can harvest everyone's biometric data and just say we're doing it to protect kids. If they're going to let us do it on this stage, they'll let us do it in the whole country. It's like the old saying goes, right? If you give an inch, they'll take a mile. And that's exactly what not only the United States is doing, but the entire world is doing, right? Here are a list of countries that have age verification for social media, and keep in mind this will likely grow as time goes on. And here are a bunch of countries that are discussing age verification for social media. And remember, this is as of June 2026. Maybe the next month or two, this is going to be an even larger list. All of these countries are either discussing ID age verification or they already have it live. Think about almost any major country that you can think of. They either already have ID age verification or they're currently discussing it in their respective governments. And it just goes to show that this is now a pandemic. It went from an epidemic to a pandemic. And like I said, I just want us to be able to talk about this today because we need to try to stop it. There's a great Wikipedia article talking about the online age verification laws by country, and it goes into detail about every single age verification law that every single country currently has. It is being updated almost every day, and it is also talking about some of the platforms that are facing the most lawsuits as a result of ID age verification. This is a point that I've made 1 billion times when talking about this topic. But Roblox and Discord, for example, are two extremely shady companies that have done very little for child safety. They should be investigated by their respective governments, and they should be apprehended. They should be held accountable for not protecting kids on the platform. However, the problem is the world's governments are using these two platforms as a scapegoat to go ahead and introduce mass surveillance around the world. They will say, see, Discord is bad, Roblox is bad, and this is why we need to protect kids on the platform. The only way we can think to do it though is have you guys do an AI facial scan into Hannah's ID. And that's where the issue arises, right? Because the idea of ID age verification obviously has nothing to do with the kids. And it's also something that is really weird to me. People really think that this isn't spreading throughout the world. Here are a bunch of countries in Africa that are either already having ID age verification or are considering ID age verification. Here's a bunch of countries in Asia that already have ID verification or is considering ID verification. This is not something that is confined to Europe or confined to America, as a lot of people think. This is something that is spreading across all the continents in the world. The only continent right now that doesn't have ID age verification being discussed is freaking Antarctica. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the penguins soon have to hand over an ID to like walk on the ice or something like that. I mean, I don't know when people are going to start taking this seriously, but it looks like it won't be until it is actually too late. For me, even if we do end up succumbing to this whole ID age verification battle where every single state and country ends up having it, I want to go down swinging, and I'm sure you guys do too. There are currently a bunch of YouTubers and people on Twitter right now that are feeling very defeated. They're feeling like they just give up, right? I mean, I've even had some discussions with people on Twitter, like some ordinary gamers, talking about the fact that he feels like this fight is pretty much over, right? Well, that is Twitter mentality, and I don't want us to have that type of mentality. Even an irrelevant nobody like me with like, the small audience that we have, I want to make sure that, at least what we can do is do our part. So we need to make sure that we stop this from going crazy, because look at all the countries and continents right now that have some form of ID verification going on. It is absolutely insane. Digital ID is taking over the world like an actual disease, and it really is. I mean, it really is a disease. Yes, it's not going to make us physically sick, but honestly, it might as well, because if I'm going to be handing over these websites and ID and it's just going to be a daily anyways, that makes me want to throw up regardless. I mean, it is just really insane to me that people don't see this as a big deal. And so we always end up talking about what we can do, right? And I say this in almost every single video, and I know it sounds repetitious, but I just want to make sure I nail that idea in your guys' head. There is something that we can do about this, right? This is not something that we just have to succumb to and just say, oh, throw our hands up, oh, it's over, there's nothing we can do about it. Go to any type of protest website you can think of. The one I always recommend is batterthanbills.com, and you can actually go ahead and email or contact your local representative, right? At least in the United States. For other countries, I'm sure they have their own websites and stuff. And there is something specific I want you guys to tell them, and this is something that I've been preaching in the last few videos talking about ID verification. I don't want you guys, when you guys email your local representatives, I don't want you guys to just tell them, hey guys, I don't like ID verification. I don't support the idea of age verification in my country or state, right? I want you to tell them, hey, I am an active voter, I vote all the time, and you will lose my vote if you are supporting digital ID verification. What you want to do is try to take away that power and that influence that these politicians have, right? Now, I'm one of those skeptical people, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are as well. I don't trust any politician. I don't trust any government. I feel like they're all corrupt scum, and all they want to do is mass surveillance and control, especially in terms of ID verification, right? So I'm not going to give any of them the benefit of the doubt of like trying to like negotiate with them, right? I just think we should start giving these guys ultimatums. Hey, if you support these bills, I will not be voting for you. And if you even know who their opposition is, and you know that they're not supporting digital ID, I would even mention that in the email as well. Like, no, I will be voting for this person instead of you because they actually support online privacy and freedom. Do our part in trying to make this a even battle, right? Try to make it so we are able to actually group up and get together and fight these laws, right? One thing that really gets to me that I see about this whole discussion is people say, oh, this is actually because this is, the Democrats' fault or this is the Republicans' fault. First of all, this is bipartisan. This is happening from both sides of the political aisle in the United States and across the world. And secondly, that type of division right there, that is exactly why these politicians are able to pass these bills without us being able to do anything. We need to stand together regardless of what your beliefs are politically. This is bigger than any political party or any political ideology. I'm so sick and tired of people having such blind loyalty to their party that they can't call a stone a stone. They can't say right is right and wrong is wrong, because this shit is so wrong, right? We need to make sure that we are able to come together not as a country but as an entire planet and stop these laws from happening. I know I'm giving you guys kind of like optimist prime motivational speech right now, but I'm just telling you guys right now, if we don't actually stand together and do something about this, and this is going to keep spreading more and more. Look at this graphic. What do the United States say that we are? Oh, we're the land of the free, the home of the brave. This isn't very free to me. And you can make that argument for pretty much every other country out there as well. A lot of these countries preach liberty and freedom.
The fuck is that?
Every other country out there as well. A lot of these countries preach liberty and freedom and all that type of stuff. And look at what's going on right now. Mass surveillance around the world. Let's band together and try to do something about this, right? And don't give up, right? I know a lot of people are feeling very pessimistic right now, saying, oh, there's no point in fighting whatever. Yes, there is. The second you start saying Twitter talk, the more these politicians are going to keep winning. So just band together and let's try to do something as a worldwide thing. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on the situation in the comments. Age verification is spreading like a pandemic. I have hope that we can still stop. Please leave a like if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more. See you.
It's over. It sucks. Gotta enjoy what the internet while it's still mostly free. Garbage, garbage, garbage. Garbage, garbage, garbage. Garbage, 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 garbage. No. Sucks. Funny how the worst states with the worst quality of life are the ones to first implement this shit, and the ones with the better quality of life are the last ones to implement this shit. Funny, just a coincidence, I guess. Yeah, over time, because everybody would just jump on board with this stupid idea. Not much what to do about it. It's just merch or actual games? No, probably just merch. Merch slop. Shithole. Not as much of a shithole, but shithole. Kind of a shithole.
GameStop, yo, this looks like a mess. Look at this. Freaking mess. There's never anything in here. Oh! Yo, first of all, I'm taking that. Second of all, what is that? That's a hole. Yo, no. Look at this. Yo, this Pokemon card in there? The games are in here. Yo,
No way.
tell me that's it's empty.
Open it. Open it. Prove it's actually inside.
Oh, it's empty. That's empty. Yo. Yeah, we gotta get this in here. You guys see this shit? Look at this. First of all, I got a GameStop sign. Yo, that's brand new. Get out of here. Guys, I never find anything at GameStop. Ever. Are these in here? They are. Frozen.
Fucking hell.
Yo, look at this. Get out of town.
Wow. Well, now you got lucky. No, you got lucky there. I don't know. Let's go back to this. Guard. And yep. The what? Max res default. Bank of Dallas, the impact of Renata Bosch, Boyo. Let's see, give it I don't know, man, you know. I can't endure this guy. Not even his voice, man. His voice is so high pitched and so whiny. Oh man. And I thought my voice was bad. God damn it. So yeah, just generate it. I can bring myself to watch it. Oops. Let me see. Many other things can be contributing to the increase. Many other things. This study is just very hyper focused on immigration alone. But okay. Very focused. Might as well say biased. Oh, but yeah, not much to say here. It's quite literally right here, but as for the actual news, it's just 1 for 1. 40 to 6. Yep. Right now. So yeah, gotta use that excuse for xenophobia. Great stuff. As for every single other factor contributing to the thing, to the house crisis, nope. We don't look at those. We don't do that in here. So it makes the story kind of pointless, at least in here. Well, it was already pointless from the start if it's gonna be trouble biased like that. But well, now this exceptionalism in here makes it even more. So it's kind of a self-defeating video to make. But I guess the idiots watching it will think otherwise. They cannot think critically enough. Yeah, more news at 11, I guess. Not much else to say here besides more turbo bullshit. Right ring bullshit. Go back to making other type of content you used to make, bro. It's just kind of embarrassing. But I guess rage bait is what people ask for, so yeah, congratulations, you're a fucking clown now. Let me see this. It's almost over. 4 more. This sucks. Man, the balance reset is why in July, by the end of July. Like, what the fuck? I thought it was like per month, monthly stuff, but not even. It's just every 2 months or something like that. And somehow, because of a bug on a website, I used to be able to just do this without even logging in. Either a bug or because they decided to change the terms, I guess. Either we're getting too costly, or they just feel like making easy cash. I mean, fair enough. It works most of the time, but yeah, disappointing. I mean, if PC parts are gonna get expensive for me to host a shit of my own, I might as well use a free service. Just to compensate, I guess. Might as well. But not even I can do that. Oh hell. Just AI data center bullshit to host shit like this. Useful, yes, but also costly again. Oh well. People hyper-focusing on immigrants when the real problem is with the clankers. The clankers. But yep, I guess you gotta just put the blame on somebody, not on something. Put on somebody where you can just make their lives miserable. Because yeah, it's much easier that way. So you can feel happy about it. No, my housing prices are higher because of the only. And then another video says, actually most people are leaving this state. They're going somewhere else. For multiple reasons. Not necessarily just because the cost of living is high, but because of other reasons. And then no, it's actually because of the immigrants, Lamar. God damn it. God damn it. Immigrants are not privileged. They're all people at the end of the day. People, and that's about it. They treat people like if they were fucking aliens. Creatures. Not human beings, okay? Okay. Might as well cannibalize on them, because why not? Gotta be a sick retard like that. Be a whole fucking bitch. Be a fucking sick retard all the way. Fucking tribal cannibal type of retard like that, god damn it. No, my American this, my American that. It's all because of you. You know. Oh man, I was watching a garbage movie yesterday. No, right before sleep. It was like something called Vigilante something. It was some garbage European movie. It's like Batman, but with a bunch of right-wing bullshit. You're just complaining about people like. It was very super hyper focused on against immigrants that try to justify hate crimes, but like it's a very small portion of the population, especially the type of portion that is very tribal. Because go figure, people, even natives and non-natives, can be tribal for religious reason or whatever the fuck. It's just kind of hypocritical. It's just but this Islam is not like very compatible with our society. Like go figure, Christian is like. I'm not trying to defend one side or the other. Like I think both Christianism and Islam are kind of retarded. Both of them. One try to excuse rape, the other try to excuse racism, bigotry, xenophobia, homophobia, you name it. Just one goes straight to the rape part, to the murder part, and the other tries to make our life miserable. Which one's worse? Which one is worse? Seriously. It's just hypocritical to complain about one or the other. If you're kind of part of the problem, the tribalistic problem. You're just kind of tribal, very kind of behave like a cultist. Anyway, so what's the point? The point is just make yourself become, I don't know, just very empty people who want to be part of something bigger than they are. Yeah, they cannot think for themselves, so they're gonna be told what to believe. And yep, they just go with that. And they just go to the circle jerk. Just yep, we should believe on that, no matter what. And they gotta do that on a weekly basis, if not on a nearly daily basis, to make sure they don't lose the sense of themselves. The new sense of themselves that they carry. It's pathetic, it's just sad, it's just double jitter IQ behavior. The most double jitter IQ behavior you can even imagine. It sucks. And it sucks that some people on the triple digit IQ realm, let's say realm. Some people, they're like sociopaths. They know they are self-aware that they don't give a fuck. They're the ones that also keep pushing for that as well because they just, I don't know, survival of the fittest kind of thing. It just sucks. It just sucks, really. It's pathetic. Yeah, just trying to just it sucks. They just try to be very public about all the bullshit they're just trying to promote. People will not only will not listen to you, they actually threaten you. It sucks. Even me talking like this is just, it may sound more threatening to myself because how people would react against it than me actually saying anything threatening against them because they feel threatened. Like their sense of self, their identity, they feel threatened. They feel like they cannot think for themselves. They cannot think any critically whatsoever. They just cannot think at all. It just sucks, man. It sucks. They just try to pander for an agenda and try to just use any trick on the book to come up with an excuse that fulfills the fucking idiotic argument. Like if they were on trial, you either a lawyer or the guy who tries to blame you. Either that. Either try to be an advocate pro or against you. It has to be only one thing or the other. You cannot try to make the role of the judge. Try to just see things as unbiased as possible and see things how they truly are. There's no space for honest conversation anymore. It's just political biased bullshit. It sucks. Just a stupid distraction. And people will go with that no matter what. But I think I said enough. For now, I guess. I mean, yeah. Problems the hawker. What's written there? Home problems, personal growth, arrogance. Well, it depends. Well, it depends. Problem is not actually arrogance. Problem really is just, it's just like part of what I just said. Some people really don't deserve your time. They're just trying to indoctrinate you, and you're just trying to deflect their bullshit. That may sound arrogant, yeah, but that's a fair use. It's just a fair use of being like, just being defensive, really. Arrogance can be justifiable. It's just not justifiable when you try to be ignorant all the time and just trying to just hold your stupid ideas without even trying to challenge them at all. Okay, I think this is the cutoff point. Yeah. Got a blast refresh on now. Spent quite a while here. Probably nothing here but 1 hour 43 minutes. The meta is to either be a normie or a sociopath. Maybe do both if you can. Just pander to an agenda. So yeah. And try to not get yourself killed while at it. You're gonna get caught by your bullshit. Don't challenge other people trying to call for your bullshit. You're just gonna make yourself look worse, so you just can only keep yourself on a social bubble. Keep doing what you've been doing. Keep doing that if you're just shooting yourself in the foot. trying to have like a fair conversation with someone. You're gonna become like a salesman type of person when it comes to ideologies. You cannot convince yourself that you're wrong about the fucking, let's say, product you're trying to sell. Yeah. This is for the very, very last link. Ouch. I wasn't supposed to click on that. Beast. Yeah, just for the AI garbage, I had to just summarize. So, okay, actually, I already had done this. There's nothing more really. Cancel it. Cancel it. Whatever. Oh shit, I forgot this one. Oh shit. Whatever. Age verification. Anthony, how she Linux larpers. One stirring building for Mina nobody. Press why? Okay, seeing the links here, I kinda wanna make it 20. So I just got a random one here. Yeah, more random. What? No. Couscous? Couscous, isn't this the Brazilian thing? Couscous. No? What about couscous? Couscous. No, I'm confused. Well, interesting, whatever. Oh. Kos in Russian. I don't speak Russian, but I know kos means bite. Don't ask me how I know that. So rude. No, nothing. Oh yeah, whatever. That looks kind of sus. This looks half kind of sus. What? Nope. Oh, hell no. Okay, whatever. Whatever at this point. Wow. Unbelievable.
Let the bodies hit the floor, let the bodies hit the floor, let the bodies hit the floor, let the bodies hit the floor. Wow.
I'm tired. I think we're gonna go to that hill.